all right. What is going on, everybody? How are y'all doing? We are back with another episode of The Gaming Den. We are here tonight to discuss that age-old question. I know I'm inviting hate from two very, very level-headed and calm and nuanced fan bases who don't ever take anything too seriously. But, hey, we are going to be discussing the differences, preferences, likes, dislikes for WRPGs and JRPGs. Now, if either of those two terms frustrate you, I do apologize. I will not be changing them. It is what it is. Everybody knows what you're talking about when you say those things, and it just is what it is. Also, if you think we're going to just put one against the other and say one sucks versus the other, it's not what's going to happen. People who are on here tonight, myself, Falky, and Innate, have all played JRPGs, we've all played WRPGs, and that just is what it is. We've played them, we've enjoyed them, we've beaten them. We also have critiques of them and things like that, so we're going to have that discussion. And no, this is not another finance episode. We might cover Xbox Q2, we might do a brief recap on that. It was pretty damning. And so not much needs to be known outside of the operating costs were up and the revenue was down, and that's fucking bad. That's terrible. That's bad. There's no spin, there's no looking into a crystal ball, there's no what does this mean? It was bad. And so we might discuss it, we might not. The writing's on the wall, and they're shitting the bed. Actionable stuff that we can talk about. The Ubisoft union representatives have called for the resignation of CEO Guillemot. This is not good. Ubisoft might be cooked, and it might be for real. This is not a talking point. This is, well, it is for tonight, but this is not just like a hot button thing like, hey, he's mentioning Ubisoft again to get clicks. No. They literally have asked for the CEO to resign, and they've provided receipts. So it's very much a possibility that this happens. Do I think it will? We'll get into that tonight. Also, the AI podcast was a freaking news article about PlayStation patenting AI podcast using characters from their IPs. So, like, what this would look like, I'm guessing, is you start up the PlayStation, and it goes, previously on your last episode of Gaming on PlayStation, you played, and it would be Kratos, and boy, you played blah, 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 for X amount of hours, and da-da-da-da-da. And, like, as much as I think that's cool and sounds fun and interesting, hell no, please don't. I don't, like, that's too much. Like, I don't know if I want my PlayStation talking back to me in real time about stuff that I've done or have not done. Like, I'm pretty good on that. But it is a topic for tonight, and so we will definitely get into that. With that being said, though, guys, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. It helps out a ton. If you want to support the channel financially, you can do that. You can become a member. You can do super chat, whatever you want to do. If you become a member, that is $5, and in the arms of an angel plays in the background for $5 a month. You too could help pay my bills. Ta-da! No, but no, seriously, if you want to support the channel financially, you're more than welcome to. Everything is super appreciated. And yeah, so let's get in and bring in the guest. And if I can click the right button, which I never do. All right, there we go. What did I do? Falky, what's up, man?
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, it's going. it's going. It's been a fun night. It's been a fun day. Got to go to work today, so that was great. And yeah, outside of that, played some Cyberpunk 2077 last night, and got to experience some good writing within the game, and did the Mama Wells scene where I don't know. Have you played Cyberpunk 2077?
No, not yet. I'm not
Okay.
good with first-person games.
I'm not either, and it's a struggle. First-person games, and combine it with some of the things that we'll get into later about WRPGs and kind of how they structure their stories. It's been it's been a lot, and it was very hard for me to push through. And I there's a lot of things that I hate about first person. Like, it gives you so many different articles of clothing in that game, and they don't fucking matter because I can't see the clothes on my character anyways. Why am I spending 85 hours in a character creator trying to make them look cool and awesome and do all this cool stuff when it doesn't really matter because I will never get to see it unless it's in a cutscene. It's like the people who put big 20 cent or 26-inch rims on their vehicles with the spinners on them, and like, that's cool, but as a good comedian once said, what's the point? Are you spinning it? Are you stopping at a stoplight, getting out real quick, shutting the door, and then looking out and going, "Oh man, look at my spinners, they're so cool"? No, you never get to see them unless you walk up to your ride and spin them your damn self. You don't get to see them. They are pointless. It's just as pointless as a character
Like
creator.
getting,
Sorry, go ahead.
it's like getting a really expensive haircut. You're never going to see it. You're only doing it for the benefit of others.
Yeah, it's just. Oh man, it's been. Anyways, I've on the stream I was trying to figure out what pants and stuff to wear and all that crap because I had just woken up and had to get
You
dressed.
or the character?
Yeah, yeah, the character in Cyberpunk.
Yeah, you or the character.
Oh,
Not
the character.
I was gonna say, if you
Definitely
were
the character.
pantsless on a live stream, that
Hey, listen, man, I'm trying to get subs any way I can. Anything short of a banana costume.
which platform are we talking about here? Are we talking about the Twitch and the YouTube? Or are we talking about the OF platform? Or which? Because depending on which platform you're on, is whether you want it yes or no for the pants.
I mean, I can't confirm or deny that you'll find pics of, Bilbo Baggins' feet on a different website, but it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. What's up, Rachy? Oh, chat. The actual most main important part of tonight. It's just Henry's in the chat, Rachy's in the chat, Nelson, Hero, RPG88. What is going on, everybody? Good to see y'all. Dizzy Delta, I see you in there too. How has Dizzy Delta not got a green badge? That's weird. How are you liking Cyberpunk, buddy? The DLC is fantastic too if you're enjoying it. Okay, so Cyberpunk is actually what started one of the conversations for tonight. But before we get into that, let's introduce Falky. Like, I haven't had him on the show in what feels like 1,000 years. And so, Falky, what have you been playing? Have you been able to play anything? I know y'all did some traveling and some other stuff, and then you got back and had to start saving all the businesses in Australia again. So, like, have you been able to game at all?
Yeah, I finished Unicorn Overlord last weekend after putting I think it was bang on 100 hours into it. So that one's in the books. Platinum achieved. Had a lot. That was a blast. That was a blast. Kofi says that it's a great game, and I agree. It's just all awesome fun. Story's pretty decent. There's some wonderful characters in there. There's a few little twists and turns as you get to the back end, but just the battles and the gameplay and whatnot. If you like strategy, RPGs or JRPGs in that aspect, it's mad fun. I enjoyed it so much. I was a little bit disappointed when it ended. I just did the ceremonial, save it, make sure the platinum pops and save everything, and then do the all right, let's turn the game off and let's delete it off the hard drive and bring the next one in. And I haven't played anything since.
I understand that. You get that platinum. That's how I was with Yotai. I got the platinum and I was like, ugh. I'm good. I'm good for a minute. It's okay. And so I definitely get that.
It's like me, it's games and books and that sort of stuff. I can't jump from one into the next one. I just need to have a hard break between them, which has been helpful because I've been busy as hell with work. So, but I had 3 weeks off over Christmas, New Year, and didn't pick up a controller at all. I really didn't play anything for 4.5, 5 weeks. So So then, yeah, then put a bit of time into finishing that off, and it's pretty much all I've done in the last couple of months. I haven't really had a chance to do much, so yeah.
Well, I put another 40 hours into Horizon Forbidden West. Not bored of it, but took a break from it because I'm not bored of it yet. But I feel like if I push myself to just move on to I guess this would be the third section of the game, then I feel like I'm going to have a whole nother section open up and just kind of drown myself in more things. So I took a break with an easier game, and not as open world, not as big, not as massive, not as crazy, and I started Cyberpunk 2077, which is actually pretty stupid because it is massive, it is huge, there's a ton of crap to do, it's super busy, there's crap everywhere, and I literally just changed settings is all I did. Instead of fighting dinosaurs, I'm now fighting people. Like that's it. And so it's
Yep.
I just swapped from one hellaciously large game to another. Excuse me. But
Sounds like fun.
okay, so it is all right. So we will dive into WRPGs versus JRPGs because in talking, this is the game that kind of sparked it. I was talking to a Nate quite a bit about it because I almost dropped it again during what I would call the prologue. I understand that the prologue is just your first set of missions that you do when you select a certain archetype or class or whatnot. You can go Corpo, Street Kid, or Nomad. And then like you get a very individualized starting point based off of one of those three. I chose Street Kid, started me off in the bar, got told to steal a car to help pay off a debt for somebody who I've never met before. Or Thrifty, the aggressively average gamer, have never met this guy before, have no connection to him, don't give a rat's rip about the guy. But apparently my character's supposed to. So, cool. And so I go and I get the quest and I go do it, and then after that is supposed to be the end of the prologue when you get caught. And then it fast forwards you to when you and Jackie get the mission for the heist. Cool. The game is kind of still on rails at that point, and then after the heist, I feel is when everything kind of opens up. And that in that moment before everything opened up, probably a couple hours before I got to that point, I messaged Nate and I was like, dude, what's the point of this story? Like, what's the point of the game? Because I feel like I'm just supposed to survive Night City. And if that's the entire point of the game, and I'm just going to run around, level up my character so I can survive, quote-unquote, Night City, that's extremely boring, and that's not going to be for me. It's too open sandbox at that point. And he was like, there is a story, it's there, and I finally found it after 10 to 12 hours with the game. What's up, Josh Ayers? How are you, sir? He said, yo, denmates. Yes. Oh, speaking of that, yeah, you get to be called denmates if you become a member. That's what we're called here. Inmates, denmates, haha, funny, ba-doom. And then Nate just said he'll be on in a moment. Sweet. So that's basically got me thinking, I have false started several Western RPGs before. Hell, I have false started Horizon Forbidden West, which I would say is a Western RPG. I've false started The Witcher 3. I very rarely start playing a JRPG and don't sink at least 60 to 80 hours into it before I put it down for a minute. And that either gets me to beating the game or it gets me super close to beating the game. And then I'll go back over time and put the last 20 to 30 hours into the game. But like, something about Western RPGs causes me to start them and stop them within the first few hours, which got me thinking, what are some of the main differences? And so let's talk about what kind of, when I say RPG, Oh, let me say this. When I say Western RPG, and chat, you can jump in on this conversation as well. I invite y'all to join in. We'll try to read your comments as we go. I want this to be very conversational tonight because that's where I think most gamers we get to thrive when it's just conversation. And so I invite y'all to join in. Here's the start though. When you start talking about this, obviously you're gonna have some loyalists on both sides expect this to be a boxing match, and it's not really a boxing match. It's more of a sparring training match. Both people, both games, both genres are good. Both genres have highlights and they have lowlights. Both genres are very popular. And both genres have been popular for a long time. Before Western RPGs were called Western RPGs, they were more known as CRPGs, or computer-based RPGs, like your Baldur's Gate, your Neverwinter, things like that. Those were CRPGs. Your Divinity 2, things of that nature are very CRPG, and what transformed into Western RPGs like Oblivion, Skyrim, things of that nature. And then on the opposite side, you have what has commonly been referred to as JRPGs, more anime and art style, more protagonist-driven, party-based a lot of times, very flashy combat, kind of not grounded in much reality when it comes to art style and things that can be done. I mean, look at the screen right now, and you'll see Trails in the Sky FC, which is a JRPG through and through, and it looks very fantastical, very, very flashy. And and you look at a game like Skyrim, and yeah, it's pretty, but it ain't this. It's very realistic. It's very the lighting is always set to be very realism focused, and generally you get trade-offs. So that's kind of what I view as some JRPGs and some Western RPGs. Falky, what about you? Is there a, if I say Western RPG, what's something that pops into your head immediately?
Things like Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, or
Oh yeah.
which are things that are more based around medieval, mythological, that sort of stuff. JRPG is very unique in some of the aspects that exist in it. Now, it can be turn-based action, either or. Typically, you don't get turn-based in Western RPGs, but it's I suppose the cultural references and the undertones that go with it. Things like you mentioned before, Divinity and Baldur's Gate, and those ones very much part of that aspect. Anything that's sort of Dungeons and Dragons related in that aspect as well. But yeah, I mean, there's some big differences between the two, but they all sort of share some commonality around. There's a sort of a broad pathway from start to finish. There's massive amounts of inventory management, which ties into the battle performance, I suppose, where there's combat involved, as opposed to, you could say that Resident Evil 4 is an RPG. It's a role-playing. You're playing the role of someone. It has a very small amount of inventory management, which makes 4/5 of no difference to how you approach a battle. I wouldn't consider the Resident Evil 4, for example, an RPG. It's a linear-driven story narrative with some RPG elements in it. But if we're talking about a genuine Western RPG, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is a great modern example of it. Baldur's Gate 3 is a great modern example of it. Witcher 3, a great modern example of what a Western RPG would be. Now, yes, they're open world games to a degree, but they've still got a huge amount of RPG elements. Things like you said, Trials is a great Japanese RPG example. Anything that's Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, I was talking about it before, Unicorn Overlord, those sort of ones. Their elements are still got that massive sprawling environments, semi-open world areas. It can be sandboxes as well, but there's different ways of getting from start to finish through the storyline, but your inventory management, your battle system approach, and all the rest of it is very broad. Even games like the Yakuza series and those ones, which everyone has arguments around, is it a JRPG or is it just an action game? I'm like, well, it's got inventory management, but it's not very big. It's got aspects of an RPG, but it's not. It's sandboxed, and you're basically running around doing a storyline, but you can divert and do side quests and all that to help upskill and up your level and all those sort of things. So it's more JRPG than just a linear action game, as opposed to something like the Last of Us. That one's very linear. You've gone from point A to point B, narrative driven, minimal inventory, minimal upgrades that you can apply to, but your battle style is very much engagement. So you engage your enemy, and you can only really attack them in very limited circumstances. Whereas, that's my sort of perspective of it. Things like I haven't played it, but I've seen people playing it. Cyberpunk's another great example of a massive sprawling. There's a story here somewhere. GTA 5 or any of the GTAs really, massive open world games with massive amounts of inventory and side quests and all that sort of stuff. That's the big. Role playing isn't I'm playing as a character. It is I'm controlling multiple facets of how this story plays out. Like being a dungeon master, really, but for Dungeons and Dragons. But that's my perspective. And you get games which blend the elements between, is it an action, is it fantasy, is it this, is it that? But ultimately, you're predominantly dealing with big sprawling worlds, big powerful, interesting characters, multiple different enemy types, multiple different ways of engaging those enemies, puzzle query quests and all this side quest stuff, and the grind and the inventory management. That's an RPG from my perspective.
Okay. You definitely mentioned a few that I had forgotten about, which is weird because Baldur's Gate 3 was actually it's one of those ones that made the full transition from kind of a CRPG, and they dropped that altogether. They dropped that moniker altogether, and now it's just RPG. But I look at it, and I've seen people play it, and I'm like, no. No, that is a tactical CRPG, dice roll mechanics, point click. That's what I think of when I think of computer RPG. Which is, when I said Baldur's Gate earlier, I meant Baldur's Gate 1, Baldur's Gate 2, Icewind Dale. I meant the ones that were on PC a long time ago. Because they did make Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance and Dark Alliance 2, not the shitty one that came out on PS5, but the two good ones that came out on the PS2. And those were action they had RPG elements.
Yeah,
but
right. You start cutting. So it then leads into the argument. What's a platformer? What's a puzzle game? What's the difference between a JRPG that's action versus live action versus turn-based? Or what's the difference between, like Unicorn Overlord's a great example. You don't actually take part in the battle, turn-based or action otherwise. You just engage the enemy and it does everything for you. But the strategy there is setting up the plays and getting your stats up and getting all your inventory and battle stuff and everything sorted out so that you have that tactical advantage when you do it. But it's still a JRPG.
Yeah.
And it's got all those elements. But it's a tactical JRPG, not an action or a turn-based JRPG. So if we start splitting hairs, we're going to be here for eternity.
So that's why in what I put my original post on X, and Nate, I can bring you in just a sec. But my original post on X was I know I am awakening fan bases that are super friendly and non-judgmental, because I know what this conversation brings. I've had this conversation. It's been a topic for years, for as long as I can remember. It's been a topic of, those aren't You play those? Oh, those are boring. Like, I was the one telling my buddies who played Baldur's Gate on their PCs that I was like, that's boring, man. Why do you play that crap? Like, I couldn't just point and click. That's so annoying. And they're like, nah, man, I don't understand how you sit and how you can't just like tinker with everything on your Final Fantasy game and look at all the stuff that I can adjust and look at my inventory and look at that. And I'm like, yeah, no, I don't I don't care that much. No, I don't want to spend 85 hours point and clicking through a dungeon. That's not fun. And so I had a negative connotation towards CRPGs and WRPGs a lot growing up in gaming because I was a console player and we didn't have anything like that on console really. Like there was no point and click on a console that I can remember at least. It was Final Fantasy, it was Dragon Quest, it was Chrono Trigger, it was those kind of games that I remember on console. Because I don't think West and maybe a Nate when he comes in uh, can shed some light on this, or maybe Falky, you can. I don't remember. I, Diablo 1 was on the PS1, and I still have my copy of it for the PS1. Uh, I could sell that disc alone right now for like $100. At least is what it was a few months back. Because they didn't make a lot of them. It wasn't even handled by Blizzard. Any of Blizzard. It was distributed by EA, I believe. Uh, I just deleted. So Hero Down Under said, I just deleted Star Trek Voyager because it's too CRPG and tactics at the same time. It was too much for me. So that game, if it was on a mobile device, I would be playing it all the time because
Which one?
Star Trek Voyager.
Oh.
They released a demo for it, and I played it. And listen, the member berries are there. Tuvok is there. B'Elanna, Tom, the whole cast and crew. It's freaking awesome, and it's a base builder. So you have to. So basically, what happened is after you go meet the caretaker, the ship is in disarray, and you have to go to different planets and search for different minerals to help power your ship. And you have little things you have to do to try to get overpower the caretaker and to get back to the Alpha Quadrant because you're in the Delta Quadrant now. And all of this. So like the story is there. It's close enough related. It feels warm and fuzzy when I'm playing it. And it is very much unlock this room on deck 11, wait for it to unlock, clear out the debris. After the debris clears out, then you build quarters, wait for the quarters to build, and then you can house crewmates. Once the crewmates get housed, then you can assign them to things. They have tasks that take time. It feels like a mobile title. It is what it feels like. It feels like I'm playing DC Legion, whatever it's called, the one I'm playing right now, DC Dark Legion. It's very much just a base builder, and the combat is it's okay, it's fun. It's basically a rock paper scissors style of combat. But yeah, outside of that, Nate, are you here? Or are you muted still?
Yeah, what's up? I'm here.
Okay, I didn't. I didn't want to interrupt if you were still muted. All right, man. So I said kind of what I think of when I think of JRPG, WRPG, all that. Falky's already given his. What about you? Like you tend to dive into these titles and on both sides of the aisle, a lot more than me. And so what when we say WRPG and JRPG, what's the first two games that come to your mind respectively?
I mean, obviously they're the elephant in the room. I mean, everybody always says Skyrim. You know, it took off, or more specifically, the Elder Scrolls series, right? Like it's actually known for. Um, and Mass Effect, you know, something like Mass Effect or Dragon Age. You know, these are the people who
Oh shit.
are the most
Yeah.
famous. You know, when it comes to really, you know, starting things up during that PS3 360 generation and really getting things going. Built a lot of first time PCs for people back then too. So like this is when things really really got cracking, right? Like, you had some of the other stuff, like you mentioned earlier, the Dark Alliances and stuff that kind of towed the line, and they kind of were and weren't, Um, but obviously, like, it's tough to find something like that nowadays, right? That's why people missed a lot of those games so much, right? Um, but yeah, when it comes to that, yeah, I would say those are probably my primary. Obviously, the new one in the room that Falky mentioned, which is Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Everybody's fawning over that game, like it's cotton candy, and they can't get enough of it. Um, not I'm not one of them. It's not. I'm not a. My biggest thing with that game is I'm not a realism person. Uh, I don't want to get overly encumbered, I guess, with too many systems. I think as someone who likes complexity in my games, I think that's a dangerous spot to be in. Because you're gonna find your people that love it, and you're gonna find your people that are not a fan of it, right? I think the safer bet for stuff like that is play the options, right? Give people the option to kind of customize their experience, and I think that plays better. Um, JRPGs, obviously Final Fantasy. You can't not talk about JRPG and not say Final Fantasy. Unless you've only played 16, then don't talk to me about Final
Stop it.
Fantasy because you don't know Jack.
Listen, I did good when Falky said Final Fantasy, not mentioning 16. Don't do that.
I mean, it's okay. My resume is long. They could come catch the smoke if they want it. And I got the platinum, so I don't even want to hear it. But yeah, like I'm saying, if that's all you played, then you can't have that conversation. I talk about that all the time. Yeah, I'm like, sometimes you got to sit at the kiddie table and you just got to listen when the grown folks are talking. And I'm like, it's okay.
It is insane. It is insane how many people will play a Final Fantasy game and think that is JRPGs and that's it. Like
Yeah.
Final Fantasy, way back in the day, up to let's go to 9, and maybe one game after that. That is proper JRPG stuff. 8 was
Absolutely.
questionable. But they're not the best. They're not the best.
Yeah,
It's like
and I've always told people that I was like, ask most JRPG fans what their favorite JRPG is. 9 times out of 10, it's not actually Final Fantasy. Like Final Fantasy will be in the list somewhere. Their favorite one, maybe their second favorite one. It's gonna make the list, but it's hardly ever their favorite. People will tell you things like Vagrant Story, Xenogears, Xenosaga, Grandia, and all that stuff. Like,
God, Grandia 2 Extreme was so good. Oh,
exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, Luna, they had the Lunar series that just recently had their remaster, which I picked up. So like, there's so many. The Mana series, is long running too.
Chrono Trigger.
Like, there's so many. Chrono Trigger.
Like,
Dragon Quest.
Even just within Square Enix itself, it's got like 4 or 5 mainline series of JRPGs that aren't
Absolutely.
Final Fantasy. But
Yeah.
anyone who's, and I am a Final Fantasy fan. I'm not a stan. I'm just a fan.
Yeah.
But if that is all you've ever played, one, you've done yourself a massive disservice because you've missed out on a crap load of really good games.
Agreed.
2,
Absolutely.
stay out of this conversation because you don't know what you're talking about.
Listen, you can come to the conversation, but
Yeah, you can be present.
Learn.
but just please.
Just listen.
Oh
don't
yeah,
talk.
and then he said Persona. I can't forget Persona.
Yeah, I mean, we got Persona, we got Final Fantasy. Okay, so Falky is lowish. I will fix that. Okay. Yep, I got you.
But yeah, like I said, like, when you say one or the other, like I said, like there's so many titles, right? Now to the structure, right, which was your main thing, right? How are they structured differently?
Yes, so
go ahead.
So we're moving into that. Here's what I put in the Discord, because I put kind of just when I first thought about this, what are the main differences? And I got story structure, combat mechanics, emphasis on stealth, and then we're going to talk about kind of our personal preferences. And I presented this at the beginning. I know it's versus and all of that on the thumbnail and the title, but I don't want it to be versus in the sense of one sucks, the other one's amazing. I think they both do good and they both have bad. And so kind of discussing both of them, so story structure is what we'll start with first. In JRPGs, I feel like they give you something to fight for super, super early on. It won't be the main plot. It won't be the main thing. But they give you something to fight for. Good example, Final Fantasy VII. Okay? You can't get away from this conversation, like you said, without bringing up Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy VII, you're on the train,
Absolutely.
You're off the train. As soon as you're off the train, you start following Barrett. Barrett starts telling you how bad Shinra is, how much they're draining the planet of Mako, how much they're going to end up destroying it because they're draining the planet, and how much they're using the resources frivolously. So automatically, within the first 30 minutes of the game, I know, oh shit, this company is destroying the planet. Here's how they're doing it. We are in their building to stop them. Cool. I have purpose. Awesome. Is that the purpose of the game? Sorta. Not really. But, like with Cyberpunk, not Cyberpunk, let's do Witcher 3. With The Witcher 3, it takes 4 hours to get to the damn point. And that's if you're like, okay, cool, I gotta go find Lilac and Gooseberry. Sweet. That's my mission now. I have a lover that I'm trying to go back and find, and I can't find her now, and I want to. And me, as the hopeless romantic, I was like, that's a hook, sweet. But it took forever to get there, which is why I've started that game and stopped it 3 previous times before actually putting 98 hours into the stupid thing. Because it took me forever to find a reason. Cyberpunk's the same damn way. So much so that Innate, I messaged you, and that kind of sparked this whole thing. Of like, dude, is there a point to this shit? Because I'm like, because if it's just an open world sandbox, then you might as well call it Skyrim with better technology, and I'm going to drop it right now. Because it's boring. And there's no, I don't find a point in busy work. I hate it. I don't like busy work. It bothers me a lot. And so when a game feels like it's busy work just for the sake of busy work, it bothers me. And I feel like Western RPGs get really long in the tooth when they're starting out trying to build up everything, because they're so focused on these massive worlds and these massive backgrounds and all of this stuff that they're trying to set up and getting. It's almost like you have one that is a D&D campaign and one that is more of a one-shot. Okay, so a one-shot, you come in, you got the big bad at the beginning, you know who it is, you go in, you try to figure it out, you solve the problem. That's a JRPG. And I'm using generalizations here. Obviously, somebody can go, well, there's a lot of those games like Final Fantasy X where you think it's this person and then it's actually not, but it's actually not the other. I get that. There's plot twists. I understand. But for the most part, you have a solid, cohesive direction of where you're going in a JRPG. In a Western RPG, they set it up more like Session 0 for D&D. They want you to take 3 to 4 hours to build the world, flesh out the world, let you know who's in the world, who the power players are, why they're there. You're probably a nobody. You're starting out as nothing. You may have a house. You may not. And this is where you start. Cool. That's great. All the world building in the world. Awesome. But then 5 hours later you find out why your character cares about any of this. And so, Innate, we'll start with you and then we'll go to Falky, since I started with Falky last one. I went to you. Do you think that is an accurate criticism of the stories in the 2 different approaches? Do you think it's an accurate criticism, or an accurate assessment rather, of the way the stories are presented in JRPGs versus Western RPGs?
Oh, in the ones that you've played, yes.
Now, I've played a few.
I think, yeah, in the ones that you've played, in recent memory, the ones that you've played.
Okay,
is what I'm talking about.
Okay.
They are structured that way. But to your point, you mentioned Skyrim at one point earlier, right? Not in your past one, but originally, right?
Uh-huh.
Like, 5 minutes into Skyrim, you're screaming Fush Roda and dragons are showing up and it's go time. So they don't all start really slow and get to the point like it's on and cracking 5 minutes in to something like Skyrim. Same thing with Mass Effect. You're starting off, you're on a mission, you get the briefing, you're on the planet. Again, it's go time. The main villain is 2 seconds away from you, and same thing. So, what I would say is that what you're used to, right, is a difference in design philosophy, right, between JRPGs and Western RPGs. Western RPGs vary a lot more. Most JRPGs have a really specific structure, right? And it's funny you mentioned they take forever. That Western RPGs, the ones that you're speaking about at that point, take forever to get to the point, right? Which the one thing I usually have to warn people about with JRPGs is a lot of them take forever to get started. The beginning is slow, especially, funny enough, one of the ones you're playing recently, which is Trails, right? Trails takes forever to get started in most of their things because they love explaining the world and, you know, the little art system and all the other stuff.
Yes, but I'm not
and it takes forever.
But I'm not controlling the... So, I thought about that because I thought about my time in Trails. And even Trails gave me a reason to give a shit when their dad goes off and they find out that his plane crashed. Now...
So hold on. So you're talking about just that Trails, though. But you got to remember, Trails is long as hell. And if you played it in order, you wouldn't have started with that one.
Sorry, guys. I got to jump. I'll come back when I can.
Yeah, okay. You're good. Yeah. So Trails, the previous one that a lot of people started with because they didn't have access to the actual first ones, right?
Right.
You know, like you started with Trails in first. I'm not saying you're out of order. I'm saying you're out of order as far as like if you would have played them before the remake came out, right?
Sure. So, no. I started with Trails from Zero.
Yeah. So Cold Steel is where most people will have started, right? Because that's where most people got interested, right? Cold Steel 1 is literally like a setup for 80% of the game. Like, I mean, literally 80%. Like, you're walking around.
So the whole game is a slow burn, is what you're saying.
Doing the most mundane things. The entire game is a slow burn. Like, I mean, they are figuring themselves out as teenagers. That they are, you know, doing the whole I'm bashful thing. You know, I don't want to admit I like her. OMG, there's a class session over, you know, in building 3. Let's go over there. I mean, when I tell you it's slow, I gotta put a massive warning. Like, maybe the last 15% of the game, you know, it's go time. Now, part 2, and you'll see, most people will tell you, right? When you see Trails fans talk about Cold Steel, most of them will say 2 or 3 is their favorite. Because when you get to 2, like, it's on and cracking. Like, I mean, it's, you know, they're going crazy. And don't get me wrong, that setup is important, right? You know, if you really want to get into it, you really want to understand the world, because they go through the history, they go through the history of the Bracers. What does it mean to be one? Why am I fighting all these people? And, you know, it's a big world, right? That's one of the reasons Trails fans love Trails so much, right? It's massive, and they never let you forget it. You know, they're like, hey, this continent over here, they hate y'all, but we're in a peace treaty right now, but not really, because you know, they always send in assassins over here.
Yep.
You know, like, I'm gonna tell you, they're not always, like, that whole part 1 is just to give you that reason you're talking about, right? And learn the characters.
See, that's interesting,
like I said, a lot of them take a bit. Yeah, go ahead.
See, because I started with Trails from Zero because, and I'll be honest, Cold Steel was
Kofi?
Yeah, well, Trails from Zero was,
I was gonna say Kofi probably told you, yeah.
But Cold Steel is what really, like, that's where I feel like the series started getting popular, like you said, because that's when I started noticing it being pushed on PlayStation Store sales, and I was like, dang, these are pretty cool looking RPGs. And then I was talking to Kofi about it, and he was like, yeah, there's like a ton of them. So, and you can actually play this. That's when I found out I couldn't play the Sky Saga because it wasn't available at the time. And so, even Trails from Zero, which he warned me, he was like, hey, there's a ton of dialogue, which, yes, there is a ton of dialogue. And I have actually commented on how much dialogue is in the game. and how they like
Yeah.
to go to each character after talking to one, and they recap everything like 85 times. It's
Oh yeah, they do it a lot.
It's borderline annoying, and so you have to take that game in doses. But from the very beginning, I had a purpose. I had a reason. Even in Zero, even in Trails from Zero, you have a reason because they dump you into the middle of a turf war between the mafia and a local gang. And so, like, you even have a reason there. You're a detective. Cool. I know where I'm supposed... Well, sort of a suit-ish detective. I know where I'm going. I know what I'm supposed to be doing. And I have this direction. Now, I will say one of the things that Western RPGs I feel like do very well, and JRPGs do this well also, but I have found myself caring a lot more about some of the characters in Western RPGs that I've played than some of the side characters. So, what I mean by that is, take Jackie for example. You're with him for 8, well, for me, I was with him for 10 hours. Because I did a lot of the side missions, did a lot of the side things. So I was with him for about 10 hours. And, spoiler alert, he gets murked in, like, at the end of the first act. And you have to go, one of the quest lines is you can go do a funeral and all of that. And, like, you actually feel, or I felt some sort of way at the funeral, hearing everybody talk about him, just all the cutscenes you were in with him, the way he was towards the end, where he was just this super passionate, driven guy. Like, he was literally going to do the thing that he'd set out to do, which is pretty cool. So the world building in Western RPGs is very, very good. And if you can get past the kind of the mundane opening that I feel. So I've played Elder Scrolls. I've played, I think it was Oblivion. Was that that was PS3, I believe? Or was that Elder Scrolls Morrowind?
It was a long time ago.
Anyways, I played one of them.
Oblivion was back then.
Made it to the combat, and the combat was so damn slow, I didn't care about anything else. I was like, this is immensely boring. I can't swing my sword that slow and feel like I'm accomplishing anything. And so
I think I was going to say, to your point with that, right? That's what I was saying is the difference in design philosophy. So if I describe Western RPGs one way, right? This is what I was saying. The thing that you like about that sense of the sense of agency is given to you right away, pretty early on in JRPGs, right?
Yes.
The problem with Western RPGs, they don't all do that, right? Some of them give it to you just as soon. Some of them, it's a little more subtle. You like it in your face, like, hey, you're gonna fight God, and you are the sword. You are the sword of truth, or the sword of light in this world, and and you got amnesia. Like we all know all the running jokes with JRPGs. Like they got like 3 storylines,
It's so true.
But yeah, like think about that tweet that went viral when she was like the Pope was sitting on a throne, and he was like, they were like, oh, I thought he was the final boss in a JRPG and I had to fight him, and it got like 200,000 likes because everybody was laughing because they were like, yeah, you know what, you're not wrong. You always gotta fight God. They might call him something different in the end, but you're fighting God. That's always the point. But yeah, like, so to your point, like that was one of the things I was gonna say, that you gotta kind of let happen throughout the story, right, with Western RPGs, and you've already noticed it, right? Where you were saying, the characters, you feel a lot more connection to them in a different way. You're involved with them in differently, and that was kind of one of the things I was giving you when you were asking me about Cyberpunk, when I was like, make sure you do the side quests because they're not just busy work. You're going to like them. Like, they are there for a reason. They incorporate into the story. There's certain gear that you're going to get from those things that make sense. That's going to fit, right? Like the whole thing, you went back and you were playing, as Keanu or whatever, right?
Yeah.
that whole
Fucking
thing
cool.
has another thing in like 5 side quests where you can get that for yourself, his whole fit and his car, and it's like a whole thing to that, and the history with the characters and how much he was in love with Rogue and all this other stuff, right? It's very specific, right? But it's so much engrossed into each of these characters and what they mean to you and the way they play so much into the world. Like with JRPGs, I feel like a lot of times it's a much more overarching story, right? Like
Yes.
even when everybody talks about what the heck is his name in Final Fantasy X with the sword on his back? Can't remember his name right now.
Fantasy X.
Aaron or whatever. I can't remember.
Auron.
Yeah,
the main character. Yeah.
Auron. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Well, not the main
while
character.
he is in the game and stuff, yeah, he spends like almost the whole game with you, right?
Yep.
But your quest is really what you learn about and going about, and maybe you see what happens between Yuna and Titus, but you don't learn all that much about him.
Oh, you don't want to jack crap about
but
him.
in something. No, but yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You learn nothing about him.
Love him, right?
Well, because he's the
he's
father
cool.
figure.
I just love him.
He's Jack 2.0, which
Exactly.
you don't really know unless you've played 60 hours of the game, which a rule that I have is if it takes you 60 hours to like a game, you shouldn't be playing that game.
Yeah.
I
agree.
Nobody's going to look at me and tell me to play Starfield for 50 hours so it can get good, quote unquote. I'm just not. There's just not happening.
I agree. And that's one of the things where I was saying. So I think one of the things that you run into just when you're playing some of these is like I do them like I guess I would say Western RPGs, right? The way that you're going about it. Some of them are gonna be like watching anime, right? You don't love, even if you like anime, right? You don't like all of them. Like you've seen all the fights all over Twitter, whether you're in anime or not, because you're in gaming. So gaming and anime are pretty much intertwined at this point. But you've seen some people love One Piece. People, and you see the whole fight. So they're like, my friend always wants me to watch One Piece. I hate that. I have completed about 400 plus animes. I refuse to watch One Piece because I find it unequivocally one of the most boring things I've ever seen in my life. But I don't get on people who like it, right? But that's what I mean by like when you're like, this one starts like this and this one starts like this. Like they vary so much, but I wouldn't not say that I love anime, right? But I could point you to about 600 anime I probably don't like, and probably 1,000 I do. So it's kind of like that. It's going to be hit or miss, right? But as you play them, right, and this is the big thing that I learn, and you just might not like the way it's laid out, right? Fox is a really big WRPG fan. She loved Mass Effect. She Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 4. All that stuff. Skyrim, she probably got 2,000 hours, between all of them. I think she's beat Fallout 4 like 17 times already.
Has she actually beat Skyrim?
Yes.
Okay. Because there are people.
She don't play like that.
There are listen, bro. There's people I know that have 500 hours in that game and ain't rolled credits. Like
yeah. Some people have never gone to the end. I mean, but a lot of people do that in quite a few games actually. Right? I know somebody who told me they have 8 characters in Baldur's Gate 3, and they get to the end or near it, and then they start a new character. It's just people. Some people are just weird that way. But again, it's the structure, right? It's how you play it, right? I've never played those games and not thought, hey, I'm gonna go to the end, right? Or I'm not gonna go to the end. To me, that's weird. But people do it all the time, right? But JRPGs are a lot more linear, right? It's in your face. There's a direct path. Side quests are, side quests, right? They're rare. You haven't heard somebody be like, oh my God, in a JRPG, best side quest I've ever played, right? Where does that always come from? Western RPGs.
Yeah.
People talk about The Witcher's side quests and the writing and all that stuff. Yeah, because we're just I don't even want to do that crap half the time. Or the only reason you're doing it is for the reward at the end, right?
Yes.
It's most of the story and most of that agency is in the main story. And it's directing you that way 100%, and you can trudge straight through it if you want to and go straight through it, no problem. Like
I need the
that's just
MacGuffin.
that's just how it is. So I think, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I need
And
the
that's what I said. I
thing
think
from
it's just a
from the guy.
fundamental.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a fundamental difference in design philosophy, right? But like I said, I think it just JRPGs give it to you more because they follow the rules more. They follow a certain they got a certain set of skills. They're the Liam Neeson of RPGs, right?
Yeah.
They're gonna do it. Everybody knows how Liam Neeson is about to do this. But you still sat down and you watched him rescue his daughter for the 5th time, right? Like it's just, that's just how it's gonna go. Like, yeah, exactly. Like,
Even
you're
at
like, oh, he's about to
67
get
years
him.
old, I'd still watch him whip people's ass to go save his daughter. Like,
Yeah, he's about to get him. Like it's like there's something about that thing that you know the way this is gonna go, and you can't wait to see it. Like you still love it, and like I feel like JRPGs do that, right? Obviously, they still vary, they still have their variances, right? But that's why I often tell people if you don't like them, if you've played, honestly, if you played like Final Fantasy, and you played Persona, you're probably and you don't like neither one of those, you're probably just not gonna like them. Like you can pretty much cut it off, but you can dislike like several WRPGs and still love like a ton of them, right? Because they could be massively different. Like nothing else is like Mass Effect, the trilogy, not that 4th one. We don't count that.
we don't count Andromeda.
Yeah, we don't count Andromeda. That didn't happen. But the trilogy to this day, there's nothing else like it. No one has copied it. No one's come close. You see some of the stuff we're interested in that's coming up, right?
Yeah, Exodus.
That's finally starting to look like it might Exodus, and then we've got the Expanse RPG. Like we're just now getting people taking a slight shot, and we don't know how close they'll be to that, but just now they're taking a shot, right? So that's why I said like WRPGs, I feel like just vary a lot more. And then what happens is a lot of the times, right? And people hate when I say this, right? But there's a wrong way to play the game. And there is, and that's the thing that sucks. Like it sucks for people because I've seen people get stuck, and this is funny because this was the other game you were struggling with, right? Forbidden West. Forbidden West is structured way more like a WRPG, and I've seen, not that you were doing this in particular, but I've seen a ton of people get stuck doing the side content and not moving the story enough, and then they get bored.
That was my first playthrough.
I didn't. Exactly. See?
That was literally the first 42 hours of that game for me. Was side quest,
and that's what sucks, right? And it's like I can't. I wish I was there with you because I could have helped you, right? And this is. I'll give you an example of how we played. Now I would have played this way anyway, right? But me and the crew, we were all in chat when we launched Forbidden West that night. We all had the nights off, the next 2 days, whatever, right? We're all in chat. So eventually we could talk to each other and we're like, oh, well, this thing and this thing, why can't I mess with this? Or why can't I do, oh, you got to push the story 3 more main missions and then this will open up and that'll happen. So we never ran into the part where we felt stagnant. But I know people who got stuck. One of the things, I didn't even realize it at first. One of the quests, right? The certain types of quests, they will repeat constantly. And they don't specifically tell you that. And I know people that have got stuck doing them, and they're like, oh, I'm trying to build up money, or I'm trying to build this up, not realizing they don't really need to. Then they're like, dang, man, the story took forever to move on. And, and it's like, but we talked about this too, right? This takes us back to another conversation you had on your show, right? Which was, when do you like to get the items? The items that you need? Mm-hmm. When you're talking about that?
Yep.
That's another design philosophy, right? I talked about, I hate getting the ultimate weapon when all I got is like 17% of the game left. I'm like, no, I want to whip everybody with this sword. I want it at least 50%. You know what I'm saying? I want the option. I want the early option. Give me the early option. Give the lazy people, that don't want to do all the stuff to get it early, give them the straight way. Give me the early option to get the weapon. Like, I hate getting it so late where I feel like I get to fight like the last dungeon and the boss with it. I hate that.
No, I'll tell you what bothers me so much.
Again, that's another design philosophy thing.
What bothers me so much is that they, in Western RPGs, they tend to keep some aspect of traversal away from you for way too freaking long. Now, this is a complaint with Forbidden West, like first, but it's the most recent that I have. But there's other games that do it too, that you get to a certain area and you're like, well, shit, I can't go any further. Great. I got to go get this item. Then I'll be able to come all the way back over here. There's these little black boxes that you can get from crash sites and things like that in Forbidden West. A lot of them are underground or in the water. Well, you find these things super early on in the game. Like, that line opens up very early. And when you use your focus, you can see the fucking blinking pink dot around you somewhere.
But you don't have the item that you need to go get it.
I don't have the rebreather.
I know. Yep.
And I can't get it, so I have this blinking bullshit in so many different areas, and I can even get down to where I can touch the boat, but I can't go any further because I'll die. Now, there's a trick you can do where if you're about to die, you can just fast travel out of it and blah, blah, blah. But I still don't have enough time to get down there, get what I need, and then fast travel away without dying. That is annoying because, one, the game doesn't tell you that until you get there. So now you've wasted time getting there. Then, because the game didn't tell you, now you're sitting there going, even when you get there, it just says, hey, you don't have the item yet. It doesn't say, hey, you don't have the item yet. Item unlocks level blah, blah, blah. Like, I know I've played games where if you get to a certain level, you get a certain item. That item is then used as a help tool, or what in the Metroidvanias do this a lot, where like once you level up a certain thing to a certain spot, you can then use it to, hell, fucking Pokemon did it. Like, once you got the TMs, you could go and use the TMs to cut grass, or...
You could open up shortcuts and all that stuff. You could move boulders out the way, and now you can cut between this place and this place. Yeah. But, see, I don't mind. I think, like, what you're saying, like, I don't mind it and stuff like Pokemon, but I know what you mean when it bothers you there, because one of the things that bothered me, but I understood, at least I understood, right? What I needed to do. Some people are going to see that and not understand what they need to do, and that's where I feel like games run into design trouble. So for me, it was the metal flowers. In Forbidden West,
the fuck off.
I ran into them literally everywhere, and I was like, why? I can't do nothing with this thing yet. And I'm like, I know it's gonna be an item. I don't know when, but I know they're gonna give it to me, and it's gonna be hella late, and I'm gonna pass like 40 of these things, and then I'm gonna have to come back and find them.
Yep.
And that's the part that I hate, is that, and again, they're not the only ones that do this, but they're primarily Octopath Traveler 0 I just beat, right? One of my biggest problems is I passed a bunch of blue chests in the game, and I couldn't open them until I maxed out the church level. And that drove me crazy because I was like, well, I'm passing 100 of them before I'm going to get there. And I was like, I'm not going back to find all these blue chests. Like, if I find them on my way, cool. But I'm not about to go back. You know, if I look something up and, you know, the sort of penultimate truth or something is in one of them, I'll go directly to that chest, you know, follow the map or whatever and go get that. But, like, I'm not about to go back to all these blue chests that I passed. So, like, same thing, right? They give it to me too late, where I'm passing all this stuff, and it's like, if it's going to be given to me that late, put all of them over there on the island that's on the other side, so when I get there, I've already got it unlocked, so every time I run into them, I've already got the item. So, like, design the location better.
It's like when an action-adventure game gives you a grappling hook, and then all of a sudden, there's grappling points everywhere you go from that point forward.
Everywhere.
It's the damnedest thing. They weren't in the first 3 levels of the game, but once you get that grappling hook, they are everywhere now. And so, like...
Josh says he's going back to get all of them. Josh said, I ain't leaving nothing on the map. I'm moving here with everything.
All of this shit's coming with me. Oh, my goodness. Holy crap. 92 point... Whoa, hey, chat. Y'all are going nuts. Hey, there's like 30 people in here. Hit the like button. Thank y'all for showing up. Nice.
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah. So, chat, real quick. Here we go. So, my last thing that I saw was Oblivion 3 was the PS3. Morrowind was only on PC. That's right. Uh,
Yeah, Morrowind was on PC and it was on Xbox though. So that was the one time when Xbox had that exclusivity. So for the longest time, like bots tried to hold it over PlayStation
oh
guys that
yeah.
they weren't really Bethesda fans because they had Morrowind originally, and I was like, yeah, no one cares, bro. It's all about. But at this point, it's all about Skyrim. Ain't nobody going that far
No.
back.
Exodus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So here we go. Nelson Gaming said most people learn first or second time around. You're not meant to get that yet, or I'm missing something, but not everyone apparently. So it's not that you can't figure it out, or it's not that I was sitting there going, well, why can't I touch the metal flower? This doesn't make any. Like I get it. I played games long
You were
enough.
annoyed
I,
that
I
it's later.
I'm annoyed that the fucking mechanic is, or that gameplay structure is there in the first place. Like it's not that I'm surprised that it's there or didn't know or was confused by it. It genuinely
Yeah,
irritates
you understand
me.
what's going on. You just
Right.
don't like it. Yeah. See, that's the difference, right? At least you understood it, right? But I saw so many people who literally claim to hate Horizon and stuff like that because they don't know that. And then they're like, yeah, those stupid things, I could never get to those or whatever. And it causes them to stop playing. Like so many people. And I was like, that's when I came to the epiphany. I was like, wait a minute. Some people are actually out here playing these games wrong. And that's when I was like, man, game design is really a tough thing, especially when you do open world, because if you don't do it right, there's so many things people can miss, right?
Yeah.
Like there's so many people that have played, The Witcher 3, funny enough, like you mentioned, right? Witcher 3 is huge, right? Once you
massive.
get in that full-on open world, like there's certain things some people can complete the game 2-3 times, and there's certain weapons or certain quest lines they've never done, including myself. I beat, now number 2 was a lot considerably more linear, so I beat Witcher 2 like 12 times. So yeah, I've definitely done everything in that. But 3 is super open world. And there's quests that I've gone back through, when they did the ray tracing update and the PS5 update and stuff, and I'm like, wait a minute, I never did that before. Like, why is that there? And just the little nuances to everything, right? Characters and stuff. We're gonna get into this side thing again. But speaking of the characters, right, and the importance of the characters, right? I agree with you on that, right? And that was one of the things I was going to say that you do have to kind of get used to with Western RPGs. They tell a lot of their stories more with the characters, and there is a story there, but you gotta do it from that character's perspective, right? Like in Fallout 4, there was a detective, right, who is a synth, and there's a whole story there, but you have to keep engaging with him, keep going through the storyline and the plot. And eventually they all intertwine, right, into, funny enough, the main story, right? But you can also just be like, all right, I'm not going to interact with you. I'm going to interact with these other people. Never complete that storyline, so you're never going to get the whole thing, right? You're never going to see all the different options, and that's kind of the danger of designing it that way, right? And that's kind of what I was trying to give you when, like I said, when we were having a conversation about Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk, again, is one of these things where one of the main things, matter of fact, I have actually never heard this character talked about on social media. I mean, I'm sure he has been, but as much as I see Cyberpunk and as much as I post about it, me and Morgan had a really in-depth conversation about a character that is literally just in a side quest, but it's so deep. There's so much, and you're gonna love it because it involves like saving kids and all this other stuff. Like the dad in you is gonna come out. Trust me, I know.
Well, see, that's the other thing. I play this character play the character like it's me, and like that is one thing I can say is it does, like, I don't do any of, if it says like gun for hire, don't do it.
Yeah.
If it says rob a store, won't do it. Like, the game gives you those opportunities to decide how good or how sketchy you want to be. And
there's literally a non-lethal option for the entire game if you want.
And outside of gunfights, I've actually been using stealth quite a bit because I like the cybernetic side of it, where you can, turn off the cameras and sneak up behind people, or when you get your levels high enough, some of your hacks become untraceable. And so you could hack somebody and catch them on fire and make their optical nerve just blitz out of their head, and they don't even know you're there, and it's great. And like
Exactly.
those type of things are really engaging. They're very fun. But
Yeah, you realize how different each playthrough could be based on you playing a completely different way. Like if you want to be a net runner and do the things that you were just describing, setting people on fire, messing up their optics, basically be the ghost in the machine, as it were, versus, guns blazing, or your full melee with katana in super high speed, like that is, like I said, they give you the freedom to play in a way that really facilitates what you want, right? And it's the same thing with The Witcher, right? That's another design philosophy that's usually different for Western RPGs. Here's a bunch of options, play how you want. Even Mass Effect, right? There's several things. You could be a guardian, you could be a soldier, you could be, all these different things. So that's another fundamental design. But again, I will say the problem is, if you're not used to both, I get, like, you're really exploring these now, right? And you've played some, right?
yeah,
Is that you might look for one thing that you love in the other that's not going to be there, or it's not there in the same way, because you're used to it being given to you that way. So I have, like you said, I frequent both of them, right? And I've played them for a long time. So I literally like switch modes. Like I'm like, all right, it's Western RPG mode time. This is what we're gonna do. This is how we're gonna play this game. This is how I'm gonna literally look for items in this world. Like it took me forever to get Fox to stop playing a bunch of like different types of games. Like she was playing Skyrim, because in Skyrim she's like, everything is everywhere. Like I can look in a trash can and find a sword. I can look over here if she wanted to look at everything everywhere. And I'm like, okay, nothing's gonna be in a corner. You don't have to look at all the corners. You don't have to like, sometimes I have to like explain the design of certain games where she's not, because then she's doing too much, and you'll get bored, right? You're like, well, this is stupid. It's not like the game that I like.
Hold,
but if,
I need to give before I lose it. I don't have a pen and paper next to me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so you talked about she liked to search in everything. Okay, I think I just unlocked like a thing about me, because I was raised gaming. Like my gaming adolescence was on JRPGs. I was born and bred in the gaming circles on those type of games. A la Western RPG comes in, I tend to play a Western RPG with a JRPG philosophy of, I need to search every corner, every room, every plant, every trash can. Pokemon taught me to search the trash cans. Final Fantasy taught me to search the nightstands. Chrono Trigger taught me to search the bushes. Zelda taught me to push things out of the way and to see if I could move stuff to uncover hidden pathways. Like, Zelda also taught me to look at the walls and see if they're deformed, because then you can put a bomb there, and that's going to make you, like... So I play... I now know why I get bored of them so quick. I play Western RPGs in the same way that I play JRPGs, and it leads to me getting burnt out on them really quickly. That's something that just hit my head. Yeah, go ahead.
But that was the big thing when you brought this topic to me, and I was like, these are, once you have those two modes in you, and you figure out, this is how I like to play Western RPGs, and this is how I like to play JRPGs, and you can switch the modes. It's almost like you sitting down to watch a movie versus you sitting down to watch a TV show. You don't expect to get the whole plot in a TV show, right? Because it's a TV show. There's 24 episodes. It's not a movie. But at the same time, as much as you really love that one movie, you're like, dang, sometimes you ever watch the movie and you're like, man, I wish they would have made this a TV show, though, because they could have really fleshed out the characters, and they could have really went in depth on this and this and this. Like, they do it all the time, right? You're like, they cut so much stuff out because it's a movie, and they only got an hour and 45 minutes to entertain you, and you're like, nah, this definitely should have been a TV show. But like I said, when you get ready to watch either one of these, you prepare yourself in a way that is ready for that, right? Especially if you're late to something, right? Like if somebody's sitting down to watch Game of Thrones now, you already know there's 8 seasons. Like you already know what you're about to get into. So if you like it, you already know what time it is. You got weeks ahead of you. And I think that's really, like you said, that's really the difference, is how you play and how you kind of fall into the design of each of these, right? And I'm not gonna hold you, like, as much as I play WRPGs, right? It took me forever to fully complete Witcher 3. Like, I would get to like right outside Novigrad or like near it, or
Yeah.
I'd get into Novigrad, and then like it took me for, I can't tell you how many times I restarted Witcher 3 before I finally got to the island. I can't remember the name of it right now. I'm sure somebody in chat is going to tell us. Because somebody in the chat always know. But I just can't remember. It's been so long since I got to that spot on Witcher. But yeah, like, and now I've completed it multiple times, right? I fully understand the way that I like to play Witcher. I know the type of character I like to play on Witcher and the types of characters I don't. But again, so many different ways you could play, even in that game, right? You could be more alchemist and magic. You could be like a swordsman, who, relies on your oils and stuff like that. But again, like, the customization and freedom and how you approach everything is always there, right? Because you can tune up the difficulty, and stuff like that. And, hey, like, you literally can't kill this banshee unless you got the right oil. Like, she's about to smoke you.
Yep.
So, like, there's so many customization elements in that. Now, to Raichi's point, he was saying there's a lot of negativity with the WRPGs. I'm definitely not saying there is an approach. That's actually an issue I have, right? That topic came up because he's saying no one's talking about the grinding in JRPGs, and that's actually a big issue I have. And this was a big topic that came up a couple weeks ago on Twitter, and people were going crazy over this. I'll have to pull it up and show it to you.
Oh, the post that you shared where someone was like, "I did all of this grinding and yeah, bleh." Yeah, I don't.
What he was saying is that he thinks it should be a thing of the past. But people took it the wrong way, right? And you can tell by the way people interpreted it.
Oh, okay.
What he was saying is that the need to grind needs to be done away with as far as progressing through the main story. Like, if someone just wants to play the main story in a JRPG, there's at no point when they should be forced to grind in order to beat the next boss or whatever. Like, you should basically be level appropriate or skilled appropriate in order to be able to beat that boss, right? And I definitely get what he's saying, right? That's been a balancing issue for me that I've had. But again, a lot of JRPG guys got up in arms because they're like, nah, you don't know what you're talking about. It's all about the grind up. You know what I'm saying? You don't know nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, they got real Mr. T real fast, bro. Like, nah, the grind is everything, bro. Like, what you mean get rid of the grind? I love the grind. It's like, I didn't say you couldn't grind. I said they need to get rid of it because it steers a lot of people away. They hit those level checks, where it's like, all right, if you're not like 73 by the time you hit Sephiroth right here, he's just gonna smack you up. There's no way around it. He's gonna three-piece you with a biscuit and it's a wrap. Like, you gotta be 80 to be right here, to basically survive without. Now, obviously, we're very skilled, and certain games give you a plethora of ways to go about things, right? Famously, there's a thing on Twitter that Morgan shared one time when she was a little underleveled fighting a character in Octopath Traveler 2, and it took everything but the kitchen sink to get her through this thing. Like, by the time she was at the end, all her characters were dead except one. She was blind. She was blind. Something. I think she also had paralysis on her. Like, I mean, she was literally about to die. And we were like, I was like, you know what? Like, I mean, this is when the strategy really comes alive, right? And I'm like, we contemplated for like 5 minutes about what to do. And I was like, you know what? Charge up all the way, go for the ultimate, because I don't think the ultimate will factor in the fact that you're blind, and it'll hit anyway because it's the ultimate skill. And after we had to deliberate for a while, because I was like, well, you can't kill yourself with a blindness, because then she's just going to hit you and kill you in the next turn.
Yep.
She had like 100 HP, so you can't do that. You can't heal. If you heal, she's just going to drop you right back down, because she's going to hit you like 3 times in the next go. So there were so many things to consider, and then we just finally ended up on the one. Then you had to hope that your strategy worked. And it did, and we went crazy, and the crowd went wild, and it's all in the VOD, and we were going nuts. Like, that strategy, though, is something you can understand, and anybody in our chat that has played these types of games understands that moment when you went through something, when you were on your last HP, your last character barely survived, and you had to go for it, and you had these party members. Like, you don't necessarily get that exact thing in a lot of WRPGs, because most of them don't have party members, right? With a few exceptions in that regard, that way that we did that there, in the traditional turn-based sense, right? But yeah, like I said, to not get too far from the point that, like Rachie was saying, that's been a big thing for me, because I hate when a lot of people quit because they get to like that hard check on JRPGs where I'm like, I tend to over level, right? So it's never a problem for me. Like, I'm a grind till the wheels fall off. I mean, you already know the joke with me when we talked about playing not a JRPG, but turn-based RPG, but was it Clair Obscure? So Expedition, when I told you when I fought the Paintress, like, the average level was 54. I was 88. Like, I came to murder her. That was it. Like, you trapped in here with me, not the other way around. Like, that's how I play. Yeah, this is my painting. You just living in it. So like, that's how I play. But everybody don't play that way, and everybody don't want to spend that much time. I know what it took for me to get to that level. I was being ridiculous. I listened to an audiobook and grinded for like 2 nights. Like, I was not playing around. And that's what you do. But like, we love it. Like, we grew up with it. We grew up knowing about the grind and stuff like that. But I also understand how, I hope that these games evolve to give people that shot to get through the game straight through, that don't want to do the grind like us, that give them access to these great stories and these worlds, that we get to experience without hitting that hard cap. You know what I mean? That kind of turns a lot of people away. And I hope they learn that too. Like, I feel like that's definitely something that they need to learn and balance better, because there's no reason for like an imbalance like that, right? There's no reason you can't play straight through, get in a couple fights, get to the next guy, and you should be able to perfectly be able to fight him within reason. Like, you shouldn't be taking 70% damage because you didn't grind for, a couple hours. Like, that's crazy. So yeah, like, a fundamental difference in each of them and how they work, and stuff like that. And I get that, right? This is another thing where you get into the ARPGs and stuff, right? And obviously ARPGs are everything. They're Western and they're Japanese, right? So you got both. They both do action RPGs. And one of the things that people love about action RPGs, what do people talk about all the time? They love the fact that even if they got to chip away at something and they're low enough level, they can, just kind of dodge roll, get out the way. What Souls fans love that, right? Souls fans have played the game every way possible, buck naked with a sword. They're like, that's all I'm doing, and I'm gonna beat every boss in the game. Me and my toga right here about to beat everything. Like, they have literally beaten that game every way possible, including the DDR dance pad. Like, like they love that. And it's like, that's why I said, like, it's room and places for both. And then, like I said, I think nowadays you get more of a blend, and you get some of that stuff, right? I've seen some of the stuff that you talked about with this game that's on screen right now. You love the blend of the action and the turn-based, right?
So
the options
good
between both. Yeah, I heard that. I heard the excitement in your voice when you were talking about it last time. So like, I think they're slowly benefiting from each other, learning from each other. They just got to take the good things and remain distinct. But you can get these happy hybrids, right? Like you love with this one. I think as long as it's done right, you could do it well. So I think that's what I say. I think it's just a matter of what you play, right? And some stuff you're just not gonna love it, because as much as I play both of them, I could give you games that I don't like on both of them, right? I am not the biggest, and this is like sacrilege in the JRPG world, right? But I am not the biggest Dragon Quest fan.
I'm not either.
I think I call Dragon Quest baby's first JRPG, because to me it is that simple. And I mean, I don't think it's bad. I just think it's that simple. Like, it's not very complicated. There's not a bunch of systems at play. Even especially Seven Reimagined. from what I've played so far and what I know about it from someone else who had played it. We got in a conversation about the IGN review, which that guy actually really reviewed it really well, right? He's actually played the 3DS version and the original version. And he talked about some of the things they removed and streamlined it and stuff like that. Again, nothing wrong with that. But Dragon Quest has always been very simple, and me, I'm the person, even whether it's W or JRPG, I love a more complex system where I really get to build up my characters, build up my builds, do something crazy. Octopath Traveler 2 is a prime example of that, right? I had so much complex stuff going, I couldn't even tell you what I was doing right now at the end of Octopath Traveler 2 because it was so complicated. I had characters that had 2 different job classes with mixed skills and doing all kinds of stuff, bro. Like I would boost somebody up 3 times and then shoot, activate the ultimate god super art, which would then activate the death blow, which would then activate the bro. I was doing combos that I done forgot about. Like that's how complicated it got. And when I got hit in Expedition 33, at one point I was so dangerous that if I got hit and I parried, a paragraph of Pictos came up. Bro, a paragraph.
Yeah.
Like, because I had so many things on me. Like, I was like, yeah, when I hit you back, it's going to feel like, the Avengers hit you, the whole team. Like, because that's how I like to play, But yeah, man, it's just there's so much variety between the two. But I think honestly, I think we just found the middle ground for where you're at, right? There's certain things that you've liked and certain ways you were approaching stuff, but as you gradually play Cyberpunk and you're kind of giving it a different approach and seeing that point where I was pointing to you how important and how intrinsic the side quests are into the game, and they're not just side quests and like honestly, you could play Final Fantasy 16 and never play a side quest because they suck. They're just cannon fodder. They're just there, right? There's no real reason you need to play them. There's like 2 that are good. Like all the important ones, what do? They put the little star on the map, the little green star, whatever it was.
True. I was about to argue with you, but because the side quests, I remember them being good, but I remember.
No, but it's always the third ones, right?
It's always it's always the 2 of them. Yeah. It's always it's the one where he goes and realizes that the toy that the kid is mad that is broken is actually a slave, and it's a magic user, and the dad bought the magic user for the child to play with, and the child exhausted it by making it do all the crap, and that one is ingrained in my brain. I will never, and so whenever somebody says side quest Final Fantasy 16, I don't think of any other quest. It's like if you would
except the good ones, right?
Except the good ones. And so that's actually one of the things I was going to mention. I actually had to write it down because you talked about side quests, and we're talking about different philosophies in JRPGs versus Westerns. And Raichi mentioned that there seemed like we were kind of negative on the Western side. One thing I'll say about Western RPGs that they seem to do very well is especially Cyberpunk, Horizon Forbidden West, hell, even Far Cry does it, or did it when I played it. While you're walking and just being in the world, you will randomly get a side quest. You're driving around in Cyberpunk. You're not really doing anything. You're going maybe, I was going to meet Johnny Silverhand no, I was going to meet,
Tanaka.
Tanaka, thank you. I can never remember his name, and I want to keep saying Yorinobu, but that's not right. But I was going to meet him, and then right after that, Johnny Silverhand, you and him have a conversation at the diner. Well, I leave there. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to do some more side missions, and on my way to a side thing where I was looking to get a tarot card or something, I all of a sudden get somebody reaching out to me, being like, "Hey man, we haven't talked in a while. You should come by. I got something I want you to work on." And I'm like, you know what? That's organically giving you a side mission, and that
is beautiful, isn't it?
Felt really cool. And even in Forbidden West, you'll be walking around, and all of a sudden, you'll get the artificial intelligence talks to you and says, "Hey, there's something over there," and oh, not as organic, but still, you're out exploring, and hey, now you have a side quest. You have a cauldron. You have a flower. You have something that you got to go look at. You have you have an old vision that you can uncover now. So like that's really good in the sense that it deepens your immersion within the world.
It's known as emergent gameplay. That's what it's called. That's what you're describing.
So good. And like
yeah.
people who play JRPGs, we know you go to the guy that has the arrow over their head, you talk to him, you get a quest. If it's a gold arrow, it's a main quest. If it's a green arrow, it's usually a side quest. Or any color variation you want, but those two are used heavily. You go, you get your quest, you go do your quest, you come back to the person, or if it's a good JRPG, the person will meet you right after wherever you were. All of a sudden, they come up and go, oh my god, you fixed it, thank you. Or, my favorite, they'll send you an email, hey, thank you for fixing that, here's your reward. Somehow you sent 2 potions through email, preesh. Like, thanks guys. And so, like, and it was more, side quests in a lot of JRPGs are way more transactional and way less relational.
Exactly.
And
yeah, you'll notice the more, like I said, you'll notice the more you play this. I mean, Witcher 3 does it really well. Like a side quest you thought was just like a non-factor, will be like one of your favorite moments in the whole game, and you're like, I did not expect that to be that involved and to really fall in love with this side quest. Like, like you said, you're like, I'm on my way to Novigrad, and I helped out this peasant on the side of the road, and which got me to this village I've never seen before, and the village was having a plague, and I cured the plague, and then it turns into this whole thing, and you're like, oh my god, and then later you find out, because you saved that village, they cleanse like a forest that you went to that actually turns out to be the end of the game, and because they cleanse that forest, now you're on the winning side when, versus the demon you're fighting, and now you get the good ending, and it's like you completely thought it was unrelated, and it's like they weave in to the main story so much more than you think, right? Even funny enough, Pan Am, she gets talked about a ton, right? As one of the love interests in Cyberpunk, right? But even you can go just a little bit with her to a point, to a means to an end, to get the main story going, and then just leave it. But one of my absolute favorite ending is involving the thing, going further, going the distance with Pan Am, and really seeing where that goes, and relying on that relationship with her to the end. And
okay, see, I haven't got there yet. So I haven't got there yet. So that's going to be fun because, once again, if you've been around the channel at all, I'm a hopeless romantic. It's why Final Fantasy VIII is my favorite Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy X is right there with it. Like, those two take 1A and 1B, generally speaking, because the love stories in both of them are absolutely, purely freaking amazing. And I will damn near fist fight somebody that Rinoa and Squall is not the best love story in all of Final Fantasy.
Rinoa and Squall, that's my team right there.
I will damn near fight somebody over that shit. Like, they're amazing.
That woman loved that man.
Dude went to space for her.
Yeah, he did.
Like,
I love that mission. Speaking of which, bro, that was my little 12-year-old me went crazy, bro, when I played that mission. I was like, oh my god. And then it turned out that was your flying ship. I was like, oh yeah, my god,
like so good. And Josh said something in chat that I was actually kind of wrapping around into. I feel like Western RPGs do a better job with the side content than they do with the main story. Yeah. I feel the exact opposite about JRPGs. Like, the exact opposite.
I agree. Yeah, I think they do amazing main story, but like a lot of the side content is kind of like trivial. And like you said, it's mainly, the real reason you're doing it is transactional.
Yep.
Like, you said that perfectly. Because it's like, oh, I'm doing this because it's going to give me, some legendary cores so I can do this one thing I want to do. And I can upgrade this weapon or something. Like, you could ask me 10 minutes later and I'm like, I don't remember what happened in that side quest, but I beat it. I finished it. But if you ask me about several side quests, I could recite almost every side quest in Cyberpunk, even the ones that are like up to the very smallest that have like almost no effect on the real main story, because they're so intrinsic in the characters, that the way they talk, the personality in it, kind of like you were talking about, the way you have an intimate relationship with Jackie as your friend, you know,
Yeah.
in a way that you don't always get in JRPGs, right? Unless that other character is like a counterpart to your main character, right? Like you only get to go deep with some of the characters in the game. You rarely always get to go with your whole party members. Now, it's not that they're unimportant, right? You just don't. The focus is typically, hey, we're trying to save the world. There's this big bad person out there. Everything is about the mission, right? But the one times you do get personal, right? Final Fantasy VIII, perfect example. We're talking about Renault and Squall, is their story, and one of the more intimate relationships you have with more of a party member is Quistis. You know, people remember Quistis so much to this day. She's the teacher, the mentor, the one who really cared about Squall even when he didn't care about himself. You know,
A little too much. She was in love with him.
yeah. She was, you know,
Like-
she's the hot teacher. You know, she played a role.
Shit. She ends up with gun dude, doesn't she? Doesn't she end up with the gun guy? The guy who has the sniper rifle. What the hell is his name?
I know what you're.
The guy who tries. It's the whole cutscene where he tries to kill.
Irving.
Was
it Irving?
Irving. That's it. Doesn't she end up with
okay.
Irving? I think
She might. I ain't gonna lie to you. I can remember that. But yeah, or I think Irving does have a thing with her. I think Irving does have a thing for her, but he has to wait like late, you know, until she finally really gets over that. All right, that Squall thing ain't happening.
Hang on, no, because end up with in FF8. That's gonna bug me because it's either her or it's Selfie. It's Selfie. Okay. Selfie is who he ends up with. Who does this?
Trust me, this is gonna make no sense out of context, Hero. So even if you play Final Fantasy VIII one day, you will have no idea what we're even talking.
Dog, by the time you get to the end,
to the story,
yeah. By the time you get to the end, you're gonna forget all about anything that we've said until you're at the moment on the airship where this whole conversation goes down, and you're like, oh shit, they talked about that because that's after about 100 hours.
Sense.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense out of context. Yeah, trust me.
Even Josh said he didn't remember. So like that's you're fine. It's like,
yeah.
It's
Final Fantasy VIII is my favorite Final Fantasy, and I forgot that even happened until he said it.
Dude, I could remember everything. Like for some reason everything about the ending of that game. And I consider any point where you're on the airship and kind of forward from, well, I'd say airship the second time after you go into space. Let's say that after you go into space, the game is like just. I remember so much from that. Like the whole game to me.
That's fair because I don't remember most of that either.
Well, like
most of that is a blur, but before that, I remember all like going to school and. Being at the school and stuff like that, that's my jam.
So you remember the beginning at Balam Gardens, I remember.
Yeah, that's my home.
And the ending when you go to the, I'm not going to give this away, but when you go to the final crystal place, that's the best way I can say it. And they start tying the threads together. From that point, so I know the beginning and I know the very last act like the back of my hand. A lot of other stuff in between, dude, I couldn't tell you.
I mean, there's a lot that happens, so I get it.
There's a lot of shit. Like, I know that you do flashback scenes. I know that there's Laguna and Ward, and I can't remember the third guy's name. And there is so much crap in that game. But even in that game, every single side quest felt transactional as all hell.
Agreed.
Like,
absolutely agreed.
And even Final Fantasy VII was all transactional. Even the ones they try to add depth to. Like,
Mm-hmm.
because there were a couple in 7, especially the original version, because I remember there was one where there were like different layers to it. Like you had to go and find this guy who lived off kind of isolated. You'd go in, he would ask you for a tool. You then had to go find the tool, come back, give him the tool, and then he would start working on something for you. Then you had to leave, come back, and like you had to figure out where like these things were. It was like a sage's something. I think you got somebody's ultimate weapon from him. And there were different layers of like how you went about getting it. But it was still just so I wouldn't have gone out of my way to look for that damn thing. I would have never done it. But I needed the ultimate weapon. I wanted.
Gotta get the ultimate weapon.
I wanted the weapon.
Like you said, you do it for the reward, not because the quest was good.
Okay, so one of the things that Raichi brought up is that there is potential in JRPGs to get just blatantly stuck. Now, this has happened to me in 2 areas. One was a hard lock, and the other one just felt like it. In Final Fantasy X, on my first playthrough, I got to Mount Gagazet pretty quickly. And had the whole Ronsos fighting with each other and all of that. Cool. Komari, something happens with him, and then you need to go and travel through the mountain. And you're traveling through the cliffs and whatnot. The section that you're in, you can get one of 2 different combinations of enemies. One of them, all you need is Lulu, Auron, and Tidus, and they're done. The other one, you need Tidus, Lulu, and Waka, because you have a flying enemy that you have to hit. The problem is that in that area, you need to be grinding for what's about to come. And so you need to grind, and you have to use Riku, and you have to really work and get... I'm sorry, Yuna's not in the party right now at that moment. And you can really get stuck there because you find out shortly after that there's a little mini boss fight coming up, and you're going to get your ass kicked really hard if you got there too quickly. And so you really do get locked.
I've had that happen.
To where, like, okay, I can't leave Mount Gagazet. I'm here. I'm on the mountain. I'm going to be fighting these same 6 enemies for the next 3 hours because I have to level up, and this is my only option. I can't go back in the caves. I'm now on the mountainside. And so this one damn save sphere is all I got. It's my best friend. I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna come back to it. I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna come back and oh my god, it's annoying. And
I've had that happen. I've had that happen to me as well. And it's funny because Corey mentioned he loved Final Fantasy 12. I originally quit PS2 Final Fantasy 12 when I got to one of the judges and I was not high enough to defeat him, and I was stuck. I was like on a ship or something, and I couldn't go back.
Yeah, that's where I got stuck too. It's Judge Gobron. It's the first time you fight him.
Yeah, it's the first time I fought him, and I was like, "Bro, this judge is crazy," and I couldn't go back, and I couldn't go nowhere else, and I got mad, and I quit, and I had never gone back until recently when I bought Zodiac, which is way better, by the way. Zodiac has so many quality of life changes, but because all the quality of life changes, I was like, all right, cool. Like, I don't think I'll have the same problem. It'll be a lot better. But yeah, I got stuck there, and it's funny. Now, you mentioned literally the same place without me even having to mention where I got stuck. So that tells me probably quite a few people got stuck there. And that's kind of crazy because that's like obviously a major design flaw in that case.
Yeah, I've gotten stuck there twice because there's an alarm system going on the ship. And so there's only so much that you can do while you're on the ship. And there's not a good save spot, so you can't actually like refresh your characters like adequately enough to grind on the ship. Also, at some point, you're going to kill enough things that there's nothing left to fight. And so it really is a pain in the ass in that section. I've actually gotten stuck there twice, once in the base version and once in the Zodiac Age. And
Wow, that's crazy.
Oh,
So I
wow.
gotta be careful.
I said, yeah, really max out whatever the hell you can. Like, that's just what I'm gonna have to go back in and do. Like, when you first initially go to the mines, that's the area that I think everybody needs to spend 4 to 5 hours in to get your level up. Because if not, you're gonna fail. And that's one of the quality of life things I wish they put into the PlayStation version was the ×3 speed and the 99999 health and the 99999 damage. Because super helpful in Final Fantasy VIII. I mean, beyond helpful with the draw system. 3 times speed, no damage taken, unlimited draws. Yeah, I had all my draws set before before Balam's Gardens came up out of the ground and started flying. Like, I was
beautiful.
I was good because I just stole everything. I got all the draws because it took 3 seconds to just sit there and grab and fill them up. But hey, what's up, Falky? Welcome back.
Yeah, hey, man. I see you, bro.
Hey,
Sorry,
you caught us, man. You're good, man. We literally nerding out on the same topic as when you left.
We haven't changed much. Hey guys, speaking of not changing much, we have 33 people in here and still only, let's see, let me make sure before I start saying stuff. Yeah, only 8 likes. If you could take a moment, hit the like button. It really does help, and it would make it 33 go up to like 43 and then 53 and then be like Rita Repulsive and just watch my baby grow, and it'd be great. So hit the like button for me. It'd be super helpful. But yeah, David,
even Corey tells his story that he got main locked in Tales of Abyss. See, we've all gotten locked in at least one JRPG, like
dude,
hard locked.
I got locked in Metaphor. I had to drop the difficulty. Thank God I was able to do that.
Oh, absolutely. Now see, quality, that's what I mean when I say quality of life changes. Things like a difficulty are usually not in JRPGs.
No.
But then boom, there it was. It helped you out and you were able to get past.
Yes.
And that's what I'm talking about. When I want them to, like, I'm not asking them to change because I love JRPGs. We all love them the way they are. But start putting in some of these quality of life changes that will help make your game more accessible and prevent things like, getting, locked in dungeons and where you can't defeat the boss. Like, there's just
so fucking annoying.
Quality of life, bro. Quality of life. This is where I mean my Japanese devs, they gotta stop, locking themselves in a room and designing games exactly the way they've always done and be like, wait a minute, quality of life, respect the time of the user. Don't require grinding, but allow me to do it still. Like, I'm still cool with that, because me, I'm gonna show up like a tank, versus a sword. I'm always gonna show up that way. Yeah, I'm gonna bring a nuke to a sword fight like all day long. Like,
yeah. I am trying to figure out how to break Cyberpunk because I need my gun to hit as hard as Johnny's did. And I'm back to not having guns like that right now, and so I'm really focusing on.
It's gonna be so fun when you really figure out your combination of cyberware, and you really get that good stuff, and you get some legendary cyberware, and you start moving like a ninja, and time slows down. But I'm telling you, bro, I posted something because, matter of fact, Reforge was complaining that he couldn't get into Cyberpunk because he said the combat was slow. I was like, slow? I was like, your build might be slow. And I posted something and he was like, oh, maybe I need to play like that. I was like, yeah, you need to play like that. Like, I got approached by, I got jumped at like an intersection by like some gang members. I hopped out the car, ran, slid. And when I slid, the time slowed down because my cyberware activated, shot like 3 of them in an arc, jumped up, switched to my katana, and then just went crazy on him. And he was like, dang. I was like, yeah, that's how you play Cyberpunk.
Yep. I have started toying around with, so my favorite thing to do is shoot them in the head a few times, get them to where their head is popped back, and then pull out my knife and just stab them right on the top of the head. Because it's like, you get in super close, and you're like, hey, this is great. I'm just going to shoot you in the head a few times and then stab you. Sometimes I stab him in the head first, then shoot him. Either way, it's still a really fun animation cycle. And
Yeah.
being able, I will say this though, it does still annoy me watching the arm and hand movement using the katana, even though I think it's cool you can use a katana. It's very annoying watching somebody wave around a katana in first person. That it feels clunky, and it feels like I'm watching a virtual reality screen, but I'm controlling it, which is weird. Like
So that's why. So use the one that you like the best. Because like I said, I didn't use the katanas forever, right? Even though I had some of the really cool ones in the game. But just remember, you got the nanowire, and you got the gorilla fist. So you can go with a couple of melee options that don't even take up slot. Just if you
Yeah.
want them there.
I usually have 2 guns and a melee option, and right now it's just a basic knife, and it's whatever. I use more of my cybernetics than I thought I would, because
Yeah, man,
it
it's
reminds
nice.
and
You're discovering your playstyle.
Pragmata, because I'm usually a run and gun. I don't, and even in this I don't ask questions. I just start shooting people. But with cybernetics in there, it does give me that Watch Dogs vibe, where I really enjoyed a lot of the stuff you could do in Watch Dogs. Falky,
Yo,
did you play Watch Dogs at all? Have you played any of any of those games?
little bit, couple of demos and trials, but never mainlined any of the games yet.
Okay. So you've been listening a little bit to our conversation. What? And him and I can keep talking forever because, well, we never shut up about this anyways. So like, this is just our private chats and our Discord chats in live. That's all it is. But for you, when we start talking about, we were talking about side quests and things like that, and I kind of wanted your take on it before we kind of wrap up and move on to a little bit of the news. In Western RPGs and JRPGs, what are your thoughts on the side quest in them or the character development? Like, you haven't really been able to be a part of the conversation, so I don't want to go, hey, answer the
sorry about
last
that.
2 hours or answer the last hour of stuff, because
No,
then
that's
we'd be
okay.
here for another hour. But
Oh yeah, we'll be here all day. Yeah, so I'll be brief because I do have to drop off at 4 o'clock my time to do some stuff.
Yeah, no problem.
So I've always preferred JRPGs over Western RPGs, just from being that old. So growing up playing things even before the PlayStation came out, playing things like Breath of Fire and some of those original Final Fantasy games and some of the original Dragon Quest games and some of those other, just if you could get your hands on it, particularly in Australia, because we had a large Japanese tourist industry in the late 80s, early 90s, and because we're both on PAL rather than NTSC like North America was, you could get things in, like you get specialist importers who could get it in from Japan pretty quick because we're on the same like time zone. So, but yeah, we'd just they were the ones I prefer. But the side quests in JRPGs seem to be less fetchy, and they seem to be more minor storyline, or they add to the character developments and stuff like that. Grinding in JRPGs can be really repetitive at times, and that's something that does frustrate me. But you can get around the grindiness. I mean, if you push forward and you actually pay attention to how to battle and use the battle systems well, you can push through pretty quickly into areas where the grind is not so much, and you can level up pretty quickly. But like you were talking about before, you'll get to a point where if you push too hard, you'll get stuck, and that's the end of it. And then you can't go backwards to sort it out. So you can find yourself trapped pretty quickly, and that's probably something Western RPGs don't do as much. They're a little bit more forgiving. But there's parts of Western RPGs that I do enjoy. So you'll find the games that have the magic as part of their, or spells casting and all that sort of stuff as part of their repertoire. The Western RPG ones are a little bit more sensible and scalable, whereas Japanese RPGs tend to use it as a baseline. There's a bit more variety in how you can deploy it in a Western RPG. But then the Western RPGs also have that, and some of them have that the fetch quest stuff, and you just seem to be forever picking up inventory all over the place. So I don't know. It's kind of depends on if I feel like just wandering around and picking fights and just basically collecting everything that's on the ground versus pushing forward a storyline. Find some of the Western RPG storylines copy and paste at times, particularly when you're in a medieval or a Dark Ages type of environment, or things that we are familiar with, I suppose is probably a good way of putting it. The JRPGs tend to be a lot more flamboyant, extravagant, craziness. There's a lot more passion at times within their storytelling. I shouldn't say passion's not the right word. It's excitement, I suppose, just because of look at Persona. Persona 5's just got this crazy art style, crazy colors, crazy characters. This is otherworldly. And then we're talking about, before you look at Kingdom Come Deliverance or even The Witcher 3, it's a very heavy storytelling method, which is a brilliant world, but it can get quite. There's a lot going on here, and it's very dark, and and you got to pay attention to it, and everything means something. Whereas a lot of times the JRPGs are just there's an underlying story, but there's so much craziness around it that's just at times can be quite silly. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that answers your question, but that's sort of my perspective of them.
I thought you said it really well.
I thought you did too.
Answer, personally.
You kind of nailed down. You kind of nailed down the whole last. Yeah, you actually covered dang near everything we talked about in the last hour. So yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I did see one thing in the chat that Rachie brought up. That is a big thing, and it's a conversation that again always gets a ton of backlash, and people don't like to talk about it. Because I know one of the big JRPG content creators brought it up. More mature stories in JRPGs. Stop making me play as a teenager all the time. I want to be a grown man. I'm a grown man. I don't like the next Persona. I love the whole vibe. Persona 5 Royale is one of my favorite. Bro, I need to at least be in college on the next one, bro. I need it. I need some of these more mature stories, some of these more mature elements to take place in some of these titles. It's I don't gotta be 15. It don't always gotta be a coming of age story. That was something, again, it rubs some people the wrong way because they don't mind, right? And I'm not saying get rid of it altogether, right? I'm just saying some of them, bro, we can be older. It's okay. I could be in my 20s, I could be in my 30s, whatever. And that was actually something I really appreciated and liked. And that's a real big thing people like to ignore with Expedition in particular. One of the big things a lot of people liked was the mature story tone to the game and how they dealt with things like someone would in their 30s, having these conversations, Ciel being married and, what she went through, and all these conversations you can have when the character is older, right? And not that they don't have older characters, because even though Titus and them were young, you had Lulu and stuff who was older, and stuff. So they have older characters in your party sometimes, but it's rare that the whole team is older like that. So yeah, that's something that I would personally like to see more from them.
I was about to come at you because I was like, dude, Orin was old.
No, that's right.
Barrett
That's
was 37.
You have 40, an older person in your party, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's rare that the whole squad is older in the way that they were in Expedition. They're usually especially the leader, Titus is super young. Titus literally acts like he's 15, the whole time. And it's fine. He eventually grows. He has character development. It's there, but I want some more mature. One of the big things, right? Specifically, everybody keeps going back and playing Lost Odyssey now. One of the big things about Lost Odyssey that you'll notice is the characters are actually grown in Lost Odyssey. So that's what I mean. That more mature level to it, older characters, with a different focus. Where I don't want to always deal with kids learning themselves. Like again, it's fine. I love Cold Steel 1. I talked about it. I went through it. I love the character development. I like to see them grow, but I don't always have to be a teenager. So yeah, I definitely like that. And again, they do it sometimes through some of the older characters, but sometimes I would like for the whole squad to like
All right.
really deal with being older.
So
I think it comes down to the games as well, and who they're targeted to. So, especially for they're made for Japan, primarily in Asia, and that's the demographic that they're aiming for. So, I think there's some as I was saying before, there's some cultural reference points there.
Oh yeah, I agree.
You know,
That's what I said. I don't want it to go away, right? Like I expect the protagonist in Dragon Quest to forever look like he's 15. Like I always expect. Like it's a cultural phenomenon, right? Like so,
Yeah.
I agree with you, and that's their demographic for that. I want them to explore more. I don't want them to just get stuck doing only that. But yeah, I agree. Like I mean, school is. I mean, even in anime, right? In anime, they're in school all the time, despite doing crap half the time that you're not even supposed to be doing while you're in school. It's like it's all over the place. So yeah, I agree with you there. That is definitely a cultural thing too. That's a good point.
Especially prevalent in the more strategy-based ones. But it's adult stories. I mean, if you got older teenagers, younger 20s in games like Odin Sphere, Valkyrie Chronicles 4, any of the Yeast or Ease games, they're all in that high teens, early 20s, where there's the young prince or the young princess or something tragic's happened and they've had to grow up really quickly. It just seems to be that piece. Yet Western RPGs seem to be more on the grizzled older person who's coming to the end of their prime, or they're struggling. So it's like they have a disadvantage from the other end of that bell curve. And I mean, see some of the characters that are in the JRPG ones, and you go, "Yep, that's aimed at teenage boys."
So
I can't get it. Like all the reason I say that, right, because I know we're about to move on. The reason I say that is because I get like some people are fine with the way it is, but if people want certain games or certain newer titles to expand, sometimes that's a big thing, right? Like I talked to you when I told you the one thing Fox cannot stand. She will listen to me talk about it all day long, but the one thing she can't stand is when a character has that overly boyish look and they just look like childlike, or or not even just childlike, but like especially like she wants to play like when there's a guy in a game, she is all about like a more grisly, if I'm playing a dude, I want to play like a guy that looks like a man.
some metaphor bothered her a lot then.
Yeah, she hated it. She was like, why is that character? She literally asked me at one point, is that character a girl? And I was like, you know what? That's a fair point.
That's a great question.
Because the part she walked in on, I was like, you know what? I totally get why you would think that was a girl. I mean, I knew it was a boy, but I was like, I totally get it.
You are botting pretty bad.
Am I still?
No, now it's cleared up, but you were there for about a good 10 seconds.
Oh, my bad. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what was going on. It looks clear on my end.
No, you're good.
But yeah, like, so again, aesthetics are important. It is a visual medium. I'm just saying you got to switch up the flow a little bit. You got to, if you want to pertain to, maybe, and this, I'm not saying to change any game or franchise that's already out there. I'm saying if you're doing something new, which I would love some new IPs, from that direction. We rely on a lot of the old stuff, and I love a lot of the old stuff. I beg for Xenogears and Parasite Eve every day. But, I would love some new IPs, man. Some new stuff to set a different tone. Like I said, some of the favorites were like one-offs, right? That we never really got more of. So, yeah, hopefully they do that in some more mature stuff. And maybe if they don't, maybe that is the job of everybody else. Who now will obviously take a stab, right, at that. We've already seen, the look with everybody having a fit over Sword and Fairy 4.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, I know, I
yeah.
know.
I can't wait. I'm playing that
I'm
damn
excited.
series in reverse.
I'm excited. I'm excited too, bro. I ain't gonna hold you.
I'm
He
playing that
sounds
shit
way
in
too
reverse.
excited.
No,
Sounds
listen.
way too excited.
It's because Sword and Fairy 7 was great. The story of it was really good. There's some things that needed to change, but the story of it was really, really good. And anyways, so I have not been on X at all tonight,
Good.
and well, not so good because about an hour ago Sony released their financials, and
Yep.
I was not aware at 9:51. So yeah, about an hour.
Yep.
Let's just say this.
You've got 5 minutes if you want an answer.
This is what financials should look like when you're doing healthy things. Your
Exactly.
operating income is about the same. Revenue is the highest it's ever been. So you're spending the same amount to run your shit, and you're making more money back in return off of how you're running it. So,
Yep.
Falky, I'm about to pull up the
Yes.
post. I don't think it's not yours, but it is Zuby's, and I have
Yep.
it pulled up here. And yeah, revenue 10.48 billion in Q3, second highest Q3 in PS5 era. Go ahead. You got a few minutes. Talk. What you got?
Second highest in Q3 in the PlayStation era. Yeah, so the only thing that was gaming sales and network services, so gaming sales and services was up 7% compared to the same quarter last year. Hardware was down revenue by 23% because they sold 8 million units instead of 9.5 million units. But so the volume was only down 16%, but the revenue was down further. The mix is interesting. Everything in terms of game sales was up. Even physical sales was up 11%. Physical game sales was up 11%. So, strong first-party title sales, strong third-party title sales. So it's going well. Overall, so the total gaming and network services segment was down 4% year on year as a total area for terms of revenue, but its operating income was up. So they've generated less revenue, but they've actually kept more of it.
Mm.
And that's again because of how you do the accounting for the inventory when you're selling units. But I mean, come on, 8 million units in a quarter, in a Christmas quarter, is phenomenal. When you compare that to other performances, I haven't seen Nintendo's yet, but they're flagging already that their Switch is the highest selling console that they've ever produced, handheld or otherwise. The Switch 2 sales were doing gangbusters over the Christmas period in most markets. So foreign exchange is having a big impact, but Sony's gaming segment is even having an increase in its forecast, up another few percent compared to where it was 3 months ago. So they're talking record year after a record year after a record year, and their console sales are dropping off, which are being replaced by an increase in their revenue from users.
Yeah.
Um,
4 million monthly
yeah,
active users up on PlayStation year over year. So they've gained 4 million new people.
yep,
That's interesting to me. MAU is a number I don't really care about too much, but like was said in some of last year's financial briefings, that lady had come out and said basically, hey, listen, console sales are going down. Now, during this part of the life cycle, we transition to looking at ways to essentially acquire more money from the people they have. And, and they do that through products and services and things like that. And so that's when monthly active users starts actually playing a role for PlayStation, is after the first 3-4 years of the console being on the market. sales start to decline, and so they have to come back in and try to backfill some of that
Yeah,
with other things.
yeah, it's not the worst thing in the world. Um, that's just how it goes. When you grow the base, and then you start, well, say you grow the cow, then you start milking the cow. Um, the only other thing that's sort of sticking out there for me is the mixed digital. The ratio for digital still in the sort of mid 70s, but I mean, they're not off. And they Q1 and Q2, their hardware sales revenue was up compared to last year, and Q3 has sort of narrowed it back down to it's about on par where it was this time last year in terms of revenue generation. Where it's at in terms of units sold is about half a million units short, or just over half a million units short. So they're having a comparable performance year to date compared to the same first three quarters year to date prior year. So it's not like they've peaked and are dropping off. They're sustaining
Yeah.
on a average across that annual piece. So if their quarter four is anything like last year's quarter four, they're looking at a record year, very close to a record year. And they're not forgetting they did 18.5 million units sold last year, and at the moment they're tracking what I say 750,000 units down for the first 3 quarters. So if they have a Q4 that does anything like 3.5 million units or more, they'll match last year's unit sales. The challenge will be the revenue will drop because they're putting stuff on sale. They're starting to get into that let's put things on sale, reduce price cycle to keep the volume going out. But it's working because they're making it more than making it back in the growth, not just sustained, the growth in their game software and network services sales. And let's not forget, we're still, 6 months, 8 months away from the one that's apparently going to set the world on fire with console sales. That's not even going to happen this financial year. That's next financial year. So they could be looking at another, would you say that GTA 6 launching in November would cause a Q3 bump of 2 or 3 million units?
Absolutely.
Or is everyone still saying it's going to be a 10 million unit seller? Like,
I don't think all the growth will come exactly from that, because I think the closer it gets, the more people will anticipate it, and then what'll happen is the other bump will come from the rest of those games launching. So
yeah,
your Saros, your Wolverine,
Yep.
potentially Intergalactic, so on and so forth, and whatever other games they secure that are either temporarily or fully timed or fully exclusive or fully console exclusive, like Phantom Blade Zero.
Neo 3.
So
That thing is
yeah,
getting
no, your Neo 3
that thing
right
is
now.
getting some crazy buzz right now.
Yeah, so I think they're entering what I like to call, I always refer to the way that they're run through a generation. I view it like a sprinter. You have the get out the gate. You got to have a good get out the gate. They had that. Then you got to start standing up. And right now we're at that sprint. They're full up. They're entering, that full sprint. The finish, it's a ways, but you want to pull right now, because this is going to maximize that. How, not if we'll hit 100 million, it's how far above 100 million will we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where we're at now. So I think full sprint, and this is when PlayStation really they really do their thing right here. And this is when all those games come out, right? The end of the last generation, we got a ton of games that were iconic. And I think the same thing is going to happen here now, and it's going to drive more and more revenue towards them, and more sales. And not just, the other thing to consider, right? It's not just the territories we had before, because the other thing people forget is that PlayStation, unlike Xbox, has expanded in even more territories. They were already in more territories sold than they were, and they're expanded even more now, especially counting this generation with China, not only in the free market zone, but they're expanding outside the free market zone. So PlayStations are being sold in places they've never been sold before in China. and they're doing great numbers. And as they get a lot of support in China from a lot of those games, the Phantom Blade Zeros and all that stuff, people are buying PlayStation 5s there like never before. So I think they're going to experience an incredible growth this year, all things considered. And if everything lands the way that it should, I think they could definitely. I agree with you. I think they could definitely have a record year.
Oh, absolutely. And so
So
you got marathon releases at the start of March, so that will have some contribution if it goes well to that fourth quarter
Hmm?
bump. Soros is in April. You've got what's the next one after Soros? Is Wolverine.
Wolverine.
Neo 3's in the mix there somewhere. You've then got GTA 6 and
Oh, Neo 3 is like
oh
a few days away from release, isn't it?
yeah,
Like the
I don't know.
7th,
Oh, that's right, not Neo 3. I'm thinking of something else.
the
There's
6th.
PlayStation had some major ones that were dropping throughout the year, and Wolverine was after. Was aiming for after GTA. Oh, it must be September. Wolverine must be going September because then GTA is in November now. So they've got a cadence of releases. And then they've got all the third party stuff that's flowing through on it as well. So I mean, they're not going to have a problem selling stuff. Um,
No.
Anyway, I gotta go. I'm sorry. I apologize. I will make it up to you.
You're
Man,
totally
I
I'll
fine.
think
let you know.
I think you ran it down brilliantly before you had to go. We
Yeah, that's
appreciate it.
totally fine. Like
All right.
Hero said in the chat, hey, Falky, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it. I have his
Right.
X linked in the description below, so go check that out, and we will definitely have him on again. I think I wanted to hit this real quick because this is the numbers that I like to see. How well is it selling compared to their other systems? Because right now, outside of Nintendo, which I still don't necessarily view Nintendo as PlayStation's direct competition, PlayStation doesn't have direct competition. And so, like, I really like that
See you
Zuby put
later.
this. See you later, man.
All right.
I really like that Zuby put this in terms that he did, where it's like, hey, 10.29 million units behind the PS1. That's awesome. You're looking at a 2.1 million units behind of current tracking for where the PS4 was in its life cycle to the PS5. They made up so much ground. They made up so much ground from the C19 crap that went on. Only 8 consoles have sold. That's crazy. Like, and I didn't want to show this to be like, oh, look how much better they did, but like seriously, when you have one company that tries their best, even during their own first party failures, to still provide the games for the players, you see what happens. Instead of just taking your lumps and talking about how much you're learning and talking about how good you're doing and all this other bullcrap, you you don't. You just say, "Hey, listen, we did these live service things. They didn't pan out. We're scrapping them. Cool. In the meantime, we're going to load up the last 18 months with exclusive deals, timed content, stuff just for y'all to make y'all feel special because we need stuff for y'all to play only from us. And right now, our studios aren't delivering that. They got their studios worked out, and now we're back on a good cadence. 2 a year. That's what I want. I want 2 a year. One marquee, one second tier, and then something else. Throw a live service in just to see if it sticks. But with the way that PlayStation has done it, even when their first party studios shit the bed, because of whether corporate decisions or their own mismanagement within the studios, PlayStation made sure that I had stuff that was exclusive to me and to my platform and to my console. It makes a difference. That is why, and I've said it before, the most boneheaded thing that Phil Spencer could have said was that if you just make great games, it wouldn't matter. That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard the guy say. And he said a lot of stuff. Because as long as you provide your client with great games, they will stay on your platform. But if those great games get to go other places, or you're just not producing them and you're not signing deals to acquire them. And by acquire, I mean like third-party deal. Hey, Tomb Raider, the second one, Rise of the Tomb Raider, is going to be exclusive. Or not Rise of the Tomb Raider, Shadow of the Tomb Raider is going to be exclusive for a year. Oh, damn. As a PlayStation dude, I was fully invested in the Tomb Raider series, and I had to wait an extra year to play that dude. I was not happy about that. I had every reason in the world not to be happy, and the game didn't sell well on Xbox. That's what pissed me off so much. Didn't even sold better on PlayStation. Little shitheads. Anyways, but that's the interesting part about this is that you see what providing the client with games, good games, exclusive games, you see what it does. It builds you a fan base. It literally makes people come back to you. Nate, before we hop off of this, because this wasn't a topic for tonight, guys, I'm really interested to get into the Ubisoft stuff, or we might even have to table that because it's already 11:10 my time. But, Nate, do you have any thoughts on this?
You said what? What'd you say? Sorry, I missed the last part you said.
I said, do you have any thoughts on the financials of Sony at all, or are you kind of in the same boat where it's just kind of cut dry? They did their thing and made it
Man,
work.
I think they did their thing. I just think the best is yet to come. Like I said, at the end of the day, the one thing that we have always realized and always known, and that we told Xbox guys for a very, very long time, at the end of the day, it's about the games, and the games are coming, and that is going to drive, more and more people to, make that purchase if they haven't already, right? Like I know, like my neighbor, matter of fact, he just got his PS5 like 2 weeks ago. He couldn't be happier. He's flipping out. He was on the PS4. And he had moved and they just had a baby, so he had to wait a minute. But he got his PS5 and he's playing Forza. He's playing Gran Turismo and he's playing Forza Horizon 5, and he can't wait for Forza 6. And that's the key right there. Is he knows he don't need nothing else, and he got a PS5 and he gets everything. That's the key. That's what people are looking at. And it, like I said, he ain't even as big a gamer as me like that, but he loves both of those games. He's going to continue to get both of those games and anything else he wants to play. And that's the thing. These last few people are starting to make the transition, and in the meantime, you're getting new people, and that's the other thing to consider. Like you said, we're getting new people stepping into the ecosystem, and more now than ever. And it's not just the United States. Like I said, it's all over the world. Like I said, as long as these games hit, like we know they will, people who are looking forward to games like Soros, like they were saying, Token Battle, Intergalactic, Wolverine, so on and so forth. And there's going to be plenty more, right? And even some of the games that are not coming day one, we know are still coming to PlayStation, right? And me and you specifically, we're looking forward to Ace Combat 8. You know what I'm saying? Like we're
in May.
Yeah. Like that's what I'm saying. Like this year is about to go crazy, bro. Last year was crazy. This year about to go even crazier, and you about to get Tales in the Sky second this year as well.
God, I know.
Like I'm telling you, bro. Like I'm not even naming half the list right now, and
No,
we're
you're
already
not.
going crazy. You
You're
telling me as a gamer you don't want a piece of that? You know what I'm saying? And it's all
so
going to be
good.
on current gen consoles only. You absolutely want a piece of that. And if you ain't playing it on Switch 2, you playing it on your PS5. Let's be real.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, I think they're definitely going there, man. I think the financials show it, and I think it's just about to go even crazier this year. Absolutely.
Dude, you mentioning Ace Combat 8 just gave me chills. I am so freaking hyped for that game.
We read it.
It's insane.
Absolutely.
So I went to a client's house today. Super cool client. Awesome individual. I hope I get to go back to their house. Him and his wife are huge Lego fans, and they had Legos. I didn't know X-Men had a Lego set, and they had like X-Men Legos. They had everything: NASA, X-Men, Marvel, DC, Batman. They had all of the city, the Ninjago stuff. Well, the unit that I was doing the maintenance on at the time was right next to the guy's room, and he was in there playing on the PlayStation. I could tell from the controller that he was on a PlayStation. And I was like, oh man, what are you playing? And he said Ace Combat 7 because it was included with the subservice. I said, dude, fantastic game. Love that game. He goes, this is my first time playing it. I can't believe how many folks are still doing multiplayer on it. I said, well, you and like we got into this whole thing on how like Ace Combat is to fighter pilot games like Gran Turismo is to racers. Like, it's the premier place to go for the best looking planes, best controls, all this other stuff. And he's like, oh, so he says there's not really one that does it like this. I said there's some that get ish close, but if you really want quality and you really want to be able to see the difference in like the way the planes look and all of that, you play Ace Combat. And so we got to talking about that, and then him and I actually got to talking about this exact conversation that we were covering earlier, because he had Tales of Arise sitting in like off next to the TV, and I was like, "Oh, you played Tales of Arise?" He goes, "Man, I loved it. I thought it was so good." And I said, "Oh, okay." So, and him and I started discussing this topic for tonight, and he was like, "Man, honestly, dude, things like Skyrim, Red Dead Redemption 2, like he starts naming off these Western RPGs. He goes, I just can't get into them. He goes, I like the flashy lights of the JRPGs. And I was like, man, I get that. So really, really interesting. But he was, and I forgot where I was going with that, but it was really cool that, like, oh yeah, my excitement for the game. Because then I got to tell him that Ace Combat 8 was coming out, and it's been so long that I've almost like, oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Mysticized it almost. I've almost made it this like mythical unicorn that I've been looking for a couple years now, and it's like I finally found it, and it's coming, and it has me more excited than Wolverine, which is a statement I never thought I would hear myself say. Like, that Game X has me more excited than Wolverine. I don't care what Game X is. Wolverine is by far my favorite superhero. And so, like, I am in there like swimwear with that game. But, man, Ace Combat 8. We got to play that stupid thing. Like, we got to do missions together or some shit. Because that thing is going to be wild. And I'm excited. Okay. So, as a request from somebody in the chat, Hero, I am going to get into this because it is something we have been covering pretty much in depth for over 18 months, 2 years now. So, Ubisoft union representatives call for resignation of CEO Guillermo. I don't know how to say it. I think it's Yves Guillemot, maybe, or Sven, or whatever. Guillermo. And this is from two Ubisoft union representatives. They have warned that it will be impossible for company management to rebuild trust with employees while long-serving CEO Guillermo remains in power. Speaking to Game Developer about the current climate at the French publisher, yep, them two people, who both ply their trade at Ubisoft Paris and serve as union representatives for Solidarities in indicated staff at the company panicked and angered after experiencing what they described as a betrayal from top management. After they announced the sweeping reset that kicked off studio closures, game cancellations, the promise of cost cutting, and the announcement of a return to office mandate that will require staff to work on site 5 days a week. Screenshots of internal messages viewed by Game Developer suggests the initial response to that announcement was one of widespread shock, disbelief, and condemnation. Guillermo himself was also called out in multiple messages posted on the company's internal communications platform, Agora, with some employees questioning why he remains in charge after presiding over what will eventually be 5 years of downsizing when Ubisoft concludes its €500 million cost reduction plan in 2028. In the wake of the announcements, Guillermo must head for the exit if there is any hope for the company regaining the trust of its employees, although that guy's name again doesn't believe Ubisoft's struggles are solely the fault of Guillermo. He explained that the CEO is ultimately the one responsible. It is his company, and at the end of the day, but everyone around him are just yes men. This was also the issue during the sexual harassment scandal in 2020. Okay, so this dude has come in with receipts. And literally, these two people, sorry, have come in with receipts and said, all right, here's why you need to leave. Nobody likes you. Nobody trusts you. You've cut too many people. You've made these broad sweeping changes, and we're done. Now it gets to the point where I ask the question, just like these two union reps did, if Guillermo doesn't leave, do they just have to hit the full reset button, or are they just done for good? That's the question I pose to you and Nate.
I mean, yeah, it's not looking good, right? Um, for a couple reasons. You know, obviously a lot of them don't like him, severely so. They were talking about walking out when he was set to visit the HQ,
Yeah.
not just any one of their places, the France HQ. Which is crazy, right? Like they hate you that much. Not the company, but you specifically, the person. That says a lot. That's kind of crazy. Um, and in wake of many devs that have left your studio are creating literally the top games out right now. So some of your ex devs are on the team responsible for Expedition. Some of your ex devs are responsible for Dispatch. You know, some of your ex devs are responsible for, I believe, Stray was one of them. Had some ex Ubisoft devs. So it's like all these great games seem to be being made as your developers are leaving, which is starting to make people question: is Ubisoft the problem? You know, obviously they still make some games that plenty of us like. You know, I'm an Assassin's Creed diehard. Like, I'm not gonna hold you. Like, I bought every single Assassin's Creed since number one, and I will probably never not buy one. But the problem is, like, they have a dwindling number of, IPs and things that are as viable as they used to be. Far Cry has been kind of on the decline. They kind of rescued Rainbow Six Siege for a while, but, and I'm sure it's doing well enough, right? But they're not going to really do anything new with it. They're going to kind of maintain, course with that series and stuff and with their current player base. And the question is, like, where do they kind of go from here, right? You can't have a bunch of people on your team, afraid to work for your studio. Like, that's not any way to do it. Everybody on that team right now is especially, I mean, I'm thinking about me. If I'm a dev and I got the skill set, I'm looking for a way out. Tons of these new studios are opening. Tons of these places are hiring. I'm looking for the nearest exit. I'm trying to jump on with the Cyberpunk team. I'm trying to jump on with the Witcher team. I'm trying to jump on with Dispatch 2. I'm trying to jump on something. Like, anything I could see that could relatively get me out of here. And, like, that's not a mentality you want in your company. You don't want, some of your most senior devs or, any of your devs really panicking where it's like, am I going to be here the next day? Why even put in the effort? You know what I mean? When I could be fired tomorrow despite my performance just because, the company's bottom line. And on top of that, I don't like the management. Like, it's just there's like no good angles here. So I do I think they'll shut down entirely? No. I think they're too big not to fail, but they might become a much smaller company, which I think is ironic because I believe that this is kind of a reflection of, the industry, right? People have been asking for a while about a crash. I saw somebody saying, is there going to be another crash? Saw somebody saying, they witnessed the first one. They were old enough to witness the first crash. I was like, I don't think you're going to see a crash. I think what you're seeing is a shift, which is why there won't be a crash.
When people talk about a crash, what the fuck is the first one? Because I've heard people mention that, and I'm like, I don't...
They're talking... The first crash is like when Atari dumped everything in the landfill.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Because since I've been gaming
that's the first one.
on the gray Nintendo, there ain't been a crash. There's like...
Yeah. And it was basically, like he was saying, it was in America. They dumped all the games out here in that big landfill, and then Nintendo showed up and went crazy. and
Gotcha.
nobody else could catch up until we eventually got Sega. But yeah, that was the real crash. Yeah, Nintendo fixed it. Yeah. But
Sorry,
yeah,
I
that's
didn't
why
mean
I
to
said
cut
I
you
don't think we'll see. No, you're good. I don't think we'll see another one like that. I think you're just seeing a shift. Like a ton of people. So one of the things that's happening that I love from an industry perspective, and this is the stuff we talk about all the time. Like some people are just gamers. Some of us are gamers, but we're also into the industry. One of the
Yeah.
big things I love that I'm seeing about the industry is the power of the tools being way more accessible and way more cheaply accessible to teams, and create empowering smaller teams to create bigger and broader visions without also having to break the bank, right? Like they're not having to spend hundreds of millions to create some compelling things. Now they're able to create some of the smaller ideas, right? But it's giving them the power to create a variation of ideas. Everything from Vampire Survivor and Mega Bonk, to Expedition 33, which supposedly had a budget of under 10 million, which is crazy.
I know.
Literally crazy to think about. Like, and you're talking about a team that had Daredevil on the mic. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy. And I always forget the actor's name that played Renoir, but he's famous too. I just can't remember his name. I'm terrible with actor names.
That's why you said Daredevil. You said a character that he played.
I said that because that's like his. Everybody remembers Daredevil, the Netflix thing. It
Yes.
was popular as hell.
Yes.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like, we're getting so many of these impressive titles at a smaller scale now more than ever. Like it used to be like a really big struggle, right? In the smaller games again are getting even easier, right? Like I'm not like that. Game development is always hard, but how many people you need in order to achieve some of this stuff is becoming much more feasible. Even while some people are, working their 9 to 5, right? They're still programming as long as they have the passion for it and stuff like that. I'm playing one of those titles now on my Steam Deck, which is Kingdoms of the Dump, that designed and developed by two people who were janitors, and they had this whole idea and created this. They had a passion for turn-based RPGs and took it and created one off of the fact that they were janitors, and basically created this world all about trash. And it's hilarious and it's so accurate, and there's so many stories within it that they've kind of turned into like their interpretation of how trash works, and how they recycle, or all the other things that they do. And it's like there's this whole world about that, and they've created this entire kingdom and place that you're in and get to explore. That's just from basically the mind of these two janitors. So like I said, like you're just getting it's like the golden era of some of the most incredible indie games from some of the smallest teams. So I think that's where they're really in trouble, especially as some of these devs do go out with that experience, right? You're having teams where you can go out with 2 or 3 of the guys from Ubisoft that have the experience and the know-how to create some of these titles, put together a junior team, and come up with something incredible, right? And we've seen that for multiple of, like I said, their ex-developers leaving. So yeah, I think they definitely need to work on it. I think they definitely need to take the concern seriously of the developers that are on board. Do I think old boy wants to give up the reins? No, because like he seems that not company, but that family has done everything to hold on to the reins, no matter what they've had to do, selling part of the company, whatever they've had to do to maintain control of that company. So I think that's their toughest battle. If internally he's that bad, for whatever reason, the devs have that they can't stand him from all the decisions and the downsizing and all the other stuff. Which, I mean, it's a company, it's a big company, right? So that's not all of them. I mean, I've always said that Ubisoft has had like an enormous development team, right? Like, so if you look at the Assassin's Creed list of developers, it's always insane. Like, it's like 6,000 people worked on this title. And, it's like Ubisoft Quebec, Ubisoft France, Ubisoft, like literally like every continent, has worked on that game. It feels like. So I didn't think downsizing wasn't, something they would have to go through in particular. Like I always kind of seen that writing on the wall when things started to go down, and like as you start to lose IP power, right? Prince of Persia, stuff like that. Some of the games that used to sell gangbusters just don't anymore, right? Which is why they're creating this heavy emphasis on Assassin's Creed. Coming out with Assassin's Creed Hex, and they're looking to capitalize on that and kind of making this conjoined universe with Assassin's Creed. They're looking to kind of revamp Ghost Recon and so on and so forth. Like they're really trying to see what they've got left in the tank, which is also a big reason why I think Beyond Good and Evil 2 is still supposedly in development, which a lot of people are surprised about. But I think the tech that they've invested in that behind closed doors and stuff, and the stuff that they've shown, if they're really able to achieve what they showed on that, I think a lot of people, are not really sure. Like, I don't even think a lot of people remember, right? What was shown for that, and some of the stuff you had to look up on your own. Some of the tech in that was really impressive, and there's nothing like it on the market, which is why I still think that's up there. But again, none of it's going to matter if you're just bleeding developers left, right, and center, right? Like that's not going to help. Like you need people who know the product, the ins and out. You need these veterans on the team that have worked with it, because we've seen what happens when you don't, right? We saw the issue with Halo and the contractors. When you try to bring in a bunch of contractors and you keep them for a little bit, not a long enough time, and as soon as they get up to speed, you switching them out because they're a contractor. So that ain't gonna work either. So I think they definitely got a serious problem on their hands. Hopefully they're paying attention. Hopefully they're taking it seriously. Like I said, I can never really tell with old Guillermo or whatever his name is. Like he always seems like, he's got the master plan when he steps on stage, but clearly by, some of these internal messages and how, the teams are really feeling about him, I don't know, man. He might have to just let the reins go, like still be a part of it, still be a part of the board, but he might finally have to let that control go, and he just doesn't seem to want to do it. So yeah, it could be I hope it's not the end of them, because they make some of my favorite games, but CEOs have killed companies before, so it wouldn't be the first. I hope not, but yeah, it's not looking good.
So I will say this: this feels different. This doesn't feel like, oh, they're making some shady moves, they're doing some things I don't necessarily like, this looks weird, but okay, that's kind of cool. It looks like they're just, like, even the last time that I talked about this, they're just copying Square Enix with the creative houses, it's creative business unit, creative houses. Cool. I've seen this before. I know what they're trying to do. I understand what they're trying to do. But this one feels different, and maybe it's because of how this came about, or how, like, at least the order in which I saw the news that day was Division came out, got posted in the Discord, and it was the definitive edition. It turns out it's just the PS4 version with all the expansions for $50. Performance, nothing was done. It's just that. And then we get this information that he has been asked to step down. So, like, I doubt the two are directly related, but it felt like, okay, you've just done another blunder where people are, like, laughing at you, going, y'all are stupid if you think we're going to do that. If we think we're going to buy that, y'all are ridiculous. We're not spending $50 on a game from the PS4 era that has no updates, or next to no updates. And it seemed like that had a correlation to this. It doesn't if you read the article, but it just feels different to me this time. It feels like something that... It feels like it's either a shit or get off the pot moment. Like, hey dude, listen,
I agree.
You can ride this ship all the way down, and you can be stubborn about it, and that is completely within your ability. No problem. Got it. But you really need to understand that if you choose to stay, like you said, we lose a lot of our good developers that we have left. And do you really want the next game to come out to sell gangbusters? Do you want their dev team to be half Ubisoft employees? And wonder why we keep rejecting these ideas because we don't have the money to support them? Like, at some level, the success of these games that have been made by ex-Ubisoft devs or with these ex-Ubisoft devs on the docket or on the credit screen, like, somebody in the boardrooms has to be looking at that and going, wait a second. So you're telling me that we had these people here for 4 years, 5 years, 7 years, and we never produced this kind of game with them. And then all of a sudden, they leave, have this magically wonderful idea, and I'm just supposed to believe that it was never there while they were here? No, it sounds like upper management didn't listen. And
Yep.
so it's almost condemning when another title with ex-Ubisoft devs does gangbusters. It's almost condemning. Yes and no. Success for small dev is not the same as success. Sure, and we've talked about what defines success on this channel until we're blue in the face. We talked about it so much that I made a video about it. Y'all can go watch that if you want to. If you have not, I know a lot of y'all who are here right now have seen that. But it was a really good talking point for a while, especially around the time of Astrobot. Because everyone was like, oh, it's not a good game. Oh, it is a good game. Oh, it's not a good game. It didn't sell 5 million. It didn't sell 20 million. Oh, it only sold 3 million. It sold 2. Like, there was so much worry in the community for some odd damn reason about how much that game sold when everything PlayStation was saying was that it was fine. It was great. It did exactly what they wanted. Which is the end-all be-all to, did the game perform well from a sales standpoint? Well, fuck it, the developer's happy, the publisher's happy. That's good enough for me. I mean, not every situation is going to end up like a Tango Gameworks where the publisher says that they're super happy and then shuts down the studio. That doesn't usually happen. That's a one-off. That's an Xbox special. That doesn't happen anywhere else. That's one of those, hey, the industry is failing. No, Xbox is failing, and you're projecting it on the industry. Studios who have the publisher come out and say, hey, we're really happy with the way the game did. Most of the time, that means they were really happy with the way the game did. And there's not a hidden message. There's not the studio's going to close in a year because they made a great game. No, they're going to get to work on whatever they're working on next. And so, I don't know. Ubisoft has a lot of... They have a lot of things going for them right now, but they need to get the ship straight. They have lightened it the best they can. If they start lightening it anymore, it's going to stop. It's going to start changing and not look exactly like Ubisoft. By that I mean they'll have to start selling some of their bigger IPs. And then that's when I start looking at it going, how many IPs can they sell before this isn't the Ubisoft that I want? Anyways, this is a story we'll keep in touch with. As always, we will follow it. I am very interested. It honestly feels like right now the life of Assassin's Creed is like hanging on a teeter-totter right now, and we're just trying to see which side goes down first. But hopefully this guy gets out of his own way for the sake of the company, for the sake of the games, for the sake of the development, and resigns. Like, that's really what it boils down to. If your people don't want you there, like, then you gotta go, because you're gonna start losing people. It happens all the time. In just dealerships that I've been at, if you didn't like the manager, if enough people got behind it and were like, hey, we're just about to leave. We're done with this guy. It'd be amazing. About a week later, the GM was no longer there. Like, he'd be gone quickly. Because if your people don't want to work for you, your people don't produce for you. If your people don't produce for you, you don't make any freaking money. Or it takes years to get stuff accomplished because an unmotivated employee is a slow employee. Because they don't care. Anyways. I do think that the employees getting all bent out of shape about having to return to work, they can get bent on that. Like, it's just go back to work. Games were made in Office before C19, and games can be made in Office after C19. It's okay. And they're like, well, it infringes on.
So the only thing with that, I would say, is as someone who does work from home, just be aware. As some of the developers they have now may have accepted the position contingent on the fact that they could work from home because they can't necessarily commute to the office.
That's true too.
Like,
now, there is that. If dude lives in California and your office is in Quebec, there's or Montreal, that should be the company looking at them and going, hey, we are doing an RTO. We will give you the option to move, or you do need to find, like, I am okay with them saying, hey, we will even help you move. We will help you, like, we will facilitate this. That's fine. But I do agree that if it was presented in just the way of like, hey, you got to come back to work. Sir, I'm in Austin, Texas. How do you want me to get to Montreal? How do you want me to get to France? Like, how are we doing this?
Yeah, and like that would have to be. That's what I say. It's cheaper to keep that person than relocate, depending on how they're set up there, right? Like, for instance, like my last job, we hired. Yeah, our company was here, so I could have commuted to work. You know, if we would have done that. But some of the people we hired, one of the guys we hired, he lived like in Ohio. Like, he can't just move, and they're definitely not about to pay for him to move, not to the matter that he would get a deal like he has there, because that man's rent or his mortgage was like $800 a month. Like, where he gonna get that at? Over here. He's not. And they're not going to pay for a down payment on a house to give him that. So, so if and much they did return to work, they need to consider, like, hey, we hired you contingent on the fact that we told you were 100% remote. And people they did hire that way, that are not within range, I feel like they need to honor that. Like, just because
I agree with that.
Yeah, like I'm saying, it's better to honor it and keep some talented people than to fight tooth and nail and lose some people. Because there's some other places that did work to come back to work. Ironically, I laugh about this one all the time. Zoom, the literal company that blew up during the pandemic, is like, that is all about meetings on video chat, did a mandatory back to work, and then basically over half the staff didn't want to come back because they were like, okay, so I'm going to come back just to be in video calls and meetings over Zoom with people who are 3 cubicles down. And so they at least gave some sort of solution. And they were like, look, you're not going to be up for promotion if that's going to be the contingent. So you can remain work from home, but if you're not going to be in the office, then you're not going to be up for promotion. And they still had over 50% of the people not return. So that should give you an idea of how much people didn't care. They were like, oh, okay, cool, bet. I like where I'm at. I'm not worried about that.
Yeah, and that's it does get a little contentious there, and so I will give that. It's just my mother-in-law works in medical coding.
Mm-hmm.
And so those companies, if y'all want to talk about some inner workings, holy crap, that's insane. Her company's changed names more times than I care to count. Because, like, it's one conglomerate buys them out, and then another one buys that one out, and then that one switches back to this, and then it becomes Cisco and Humana, and it changes names so many damn times. And with each name change comes a new way to do stuff. So she's been in home, she's been out of home, she's been in office, she's been not remote, she's been partially remote. It's quite funny. Because she's
that kind of whirlwind sucks, man. Like you get in a routine and you're like, really, again?
Yeah, it's essentially because I remember the first time it happened. I had just started dating, my wife, and we had just started dating, and she had gone through her second buyout at that point. And I was like, oh, so are you worried? She goes, no, not really. I'm the only one in my department that can do any of the stuff I'm doing. So I'm not really worried. They can't bring anybody else in. Heck, I'm training the people that the new company brought over. Okay, cool. A couple years go by, and I was like, hey, how are things going at like Blue Cross or Qual Choice or whatever the hell it was called? And she was like, oh no, we changed names. Now we're this. And I was like, oh. And so you made it through those layoffs too, because every time somebody buys, there's redundancy cuts that are done. And so, like, she's been through all of them. And now she gets to work from home. But they tried to get her recently to go back into the office, and she basically said no. She's like, listen, I can get up, get my coffee, sit at my desk, do all of my stuff, be there for everybody, be a phone call away, and I can make sure this gets done. So,
yeah, there's no real reason to return, and that's when it gets frustrating, when you're like, nah, like I'm good. And like I said, there's other benefits that sometimes companies don't consider. They said when we were in office at like 2 jobs ago or whatever, the job I was at during the pandemic, like when they eventually tried to get us to go back to work, nobody wanted to go. And it was also ridiculous because our performance was up and nobody was ever absent. But when we were in the office, all it took was one person to cough and everybody else, it just went down the line. First row has the flu. Second row, that's next to them, they get the flu. Then the next row, and I'm like, all right, I'm eventually getting it. Like, it's just making its way down the row. And like you're talking about, we had Lysol wipes on our desk. Like, the place was extremely clean. It doesn't matter. It's airborne. And we're in a room in a secure environment where we have to badge in. That's like pretty small. It's big enough for us, but it's small. So like you're going to get sick, and it would happen every time. And I was like, okay, now when we were out, guess what? One of the guys, he had COVID, but he was asymptomatic. So guess what? He just worked because we weren't in the office. And it's like, you guys, like, they swear they love attendance more than anything. Then when work from home works and everybody's always at work, one girl, she went on a trip to Spain while she was working from home. She was fine. I never even knew she went. The only reason I know is because when she got back,
hey,
she
you're
told
botting
me.
again.
Okay, is it better?
It is, yes, question mark.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
That's better.
All right, there we go. But yeah, like I said, like there's so many benefits to that they don't know about. Like I said, who cares that girl went to Spain? She still did her work like everybody else, and she went on vacation and nobody even knew. Like, it's like, again, they're getting benefits when they don't even know it. And then there was another company, guess what? They got rid of the whole building except the bottom floor. So all that money they saved, guess what? Everybody in the company went up to a bare minimum of $75,000 a year because they said, hey, we don't got to pay for that big building and all that electricity and all that nonsense anymore. So all they kept was the bottom floor where the servers were and everything, just for when the team needs to go in and do that. Otherwise, and there's a little space for like if people need to come in because their internet went out or your power's out, whatever. But otherwise, everybody in the company got a raise. Now that's how you do it.
Yeah, I mean,
we saved a bunch of money. Everybody gets a raise.
I mean,
yeah,
okay, I maybe.
Now you see. Now you see.
I see
some of the benefits.
I see where there are some cases where RTO would be bad. I can at least meet you there.
I'm not saying they don't have valid reasons for trying to do it, right? But let's be honest. Like most of this is a plan to try to get people to commit voluntary separation.
I love the way you said that. That was very official. Voluntary separation.
Yeah. Because, like, unlike in the United States, where most places you can get fired because, you wore the color blue to work, like, because they felt like it. Um,
Isn't
like,
right to work good?
Yeah, bro, I hate it. But like in France and a couple other places, from what I understand, it's easier to get to like try to get somebody. Like sometimes people, instead of trying to fire somebody, like they will like try to put them in a corner and make them useless just so they can try to get them to quit. Because it's easier to get them to quit than it is to fire them. Yeah, it's wild, bro.
That's crazy. I mean, I get it. That's what we have companies here that do that. Most of the because
dishonor your family.
What's up, Byron Cutler? Man. Hadn't seen you here in a minute. You just showed up for the end, so appreciate you being here. Guys, seriously, hit the like button on your way out. We are about to be out of here. My current is doing redundancies in 3 to 5 weeks. Uh-oh. Yeah, that's fun. Man, I hope you make it through them. Yeah, the mood has been down for months knowing it's... Oh, that sucks. Dude,
yeah, that sucks.
Could you imagine the what's going on at Microsoft? It is now the month of February. God bless. I would never even want to clock in. I was just like...
Honestly, they need to retain whoever they got because Windows 11 is in a terrible state right now.
We're gonna just let me not. I don't want to know. I just man, yeah. I couldn't do that. That would suck. That type of crap is rough. Like we have evaluations coming in about 30 days. And I don't have to worry about that. So I feel very fortunate that even if there was another major massive company that came and bought mine, the actual producers, we don't go anywhere. We might get raises, they might talk to us, they might do things to try to sweeten the deal, or some people might try to politic their way into getting a little bit more here or there, but like for the most part, they're not coming to us trying to cut us. They're coming to us going, okay, what do we have to do to make you stay? And so it's a bit different. So I'm very fortunate in that regard.
That's a good place to be in.
Yeah, it's who is on next week as you're winding down? Next week is, hang on. Next week is open. This was the last one from the month of January that I had set up with Falky. So next week we start starting tomorrow, I will start the hunt for more folks. Maybe now that the season has died down a bit, we can get Jez back on. And because I know he plays a lot of different games. He's always loading into something different. And so we
get him back on. I was going to say, I'd like to take this time to thank all the people who came out tonight, because, Innate is officially, the highest count show this season on,
this season,
the AAG show.
That's right. That's right.
I appreciate all my people for coming out, supporting a brother, talking RPGs with a brother. I love y'all if I don't say it enough. And first and foremost, thank God. You know what I'm saying?
Jesus, that's fun. Hey, listen, if we're gonna keep fucking around, you'll just end up being every week. Hey, Nate, hop on in, say something to the fans. Get no, guys, we have been making a transition to making this more about gaming. There's a million podcasts that you can go listen to for news. You can listen to Jez's podcast. You can listen to the Otter Player podcast. You can listen to Will's podcast every Sunday. Like there's podcasts everywhere if you want the news. You can go watch Mooch on Thursday, listen to Brat before my show on Wednesday. Like sometimes he does a Saturday and a Friday. There's so many news podcasts out there. But there's not a lot where folks just sit there and get to geek out on gaming. And so it's been a blast kind of easing that transition in. We still cover news topics. We still stay up on some of the bigger stories and stuff like that. But Just being able to come here.
Like the Nintendo Direct tomorrow. Don't forget.
Yeah, it's been funny watching. So that's one reason why tonight was also very video game focused, and I wanted to
Yeah.
pick a topic that was very deep in the well, uh, or had a
Oh, we
very
went
deep
there.
well,
We
because
went there.
yes, we did. Uh, because this week's show, it was either Nintendo or Neo 3. Those were the stories for the week. Oh, Crimson Desert had some interesting stuff that would have taken an entire, like, 5 seconds to read. Hey, Crimson Desert is sitting there at 2 million already. Yay! Cool! Like, and then just move on. Like, so that's why there was not a lot of news this week, so to speak. But anyways, guys, yes, thank y'all for coming out. Go check out Innate on the Otter Players podcast. Sorry, I'm having an allergy attack as I'm trying to close this. Go check out Innate on the Otter Players podcast. That happens on Saturdays at 5 Central most of the time. Most of the time, 5 Central.
Eastern. But yeah, you're right. If we get started late, yeah, I feel you.
It's not. Y'all don't start at 4 Central.
We start at 5 p.m. Eastern time, but the problem is Omar always gets on my nerves before we start, which always takes me like more time to start the podcast.
I didn't realize that. I'm so used to y'all starting at 5 o'clock my time.
Yeah,
which
you're
is
used to
6
starting
o'clock
later.
Eastern. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
That's why it's gonna fluctuate when time changes again.
Oh, that's right. Because you don't do the time change thing where you're at.
Yeah, so that's why I always tell people based on Eastern, because then we'll fluctuate it. But
Gotcha.
depending on how my work schedule goes, I don't know. Like, we might be on hiatus for a minute after this Saturday because I got to make sure I don't actually work on a Saturday. So I got to see how that goes.
Don't do that to me.
Yeah, I know.
Don't do that to me.
I know.
I need to see what
Yeah.
episode of Power Rangers Omar's watching. Like, I need to know these things. Like, you can't leave me hanging.
know.
I was so mad
Yeah.
this Saturday. I was so pissed.
Oh, I saw you at me.
Low key, I was pissed off at you because I actually had time, and I was like, dude,
Yeah.
I'm just sitting here playing video games. I'm about to just turn on the podcast. It's going to be great. Just get to listen to it and just kind of zone out. Everybody in the house was doing their own thing. It was the perfect. I don't get Saturday afternoons like that much. So I was like, this is going to be great. I can catch it live. And then no damn show. 20 minutes goes by, or 10 minutes go by, and I'm like, hey, are you doing a show? And you're like, nah, man, it was a slow news week. I don't give a...
Yeah, usually, you know me, though. Usually I'll engineer some topics, but it was slow, and then we were also down a member, so I was like, all right. That was, like, once we were down the person, I was like, all right, I'm not going to force it. So, but yeah, no. definitely this weekend.
Heck yeah, it's great. We are, like I said, go check out their show. If you want a show that is just for gamers talking about games in the industry, in that order. They always talk about games first. I've been listening to the show now for at least a couple years, and I've never heard them not start with the video games first.
Absolutely.
And that might take you an hour and a half. Then they'll get some news topics. Like, especially if Morgan's on one. If Morgan's on one, you about to get the plot, the writers, the backstory, the history of the franchise, the studio history, who works there, when they work there, how long they've been there, what operating system they're using. Like, when she gets into a game, she's going to tell you everything about that game. And, like, it's really cool to hear how excited other gamers get when talking about something they love. So, check them out. Great time over there. Nate, thanks again for coming on. I really was not expecting Faulky to bounce, but I'm glad it kind of worked out the way that it did. Faulky did apologize for leaving. No problem at all. We'll have him on again as well. And then we will see you next week. I will be doing another live stream. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to do another Cyberpunk 2077 or if I'm going to dive in and maybe do the Neo demo tomorrow night. So we will figure that out. It'll be over the next couple days. We will have another live stream coming because those have been fun. Anyways, hit the like button. I suck at landing these. The dismount is terrible. I have to I don't know, I have to read a book on how to end a speech because I suck at it. Anyways, guys, thank y'all so much for showing up. We will catch you on the next one.